I wonder where he's going.
Well, there's a couple of options. Either A, he's leaving forever and has never come back to his apartment, or B, he's going to the bathroom, or C, he's getting food, which honestly, fair. Very much fair.
I'm hungry right now, actually.
I just had a salad. I had what was it called? A kale salad.
A kale salad? I'm thinking like pizza or like a hamburger, something dense.
Something with substance.
Sustenate.
I had a friend who every time I got hungry, he would just say "sustenate me," and it's like, dude, stop saying that. It's freaking weird.
Doesn't sound right.
No, it really doesn't. That's why I kept telling him to stop it, because it was freaking weird.
Stop it.
I was just looking at him like, take that L. Take that L. It's weird. It's dumb. But since we already showed ourselves, let's go.
Welcome.
Whoa! What a way!
I totally messed up. That's my bad.
Man.
I was caught
Amateur
sleeping
hour.
at the keyboard. I know.
Shame on you! Ugly baby judges you.
I'm glad finally someone else used that clip, because I'm the only one that's ever really used it, I think. So thank you for humoring me. But let's see what we got.
Hey,
Daryl
Phil, how
Taylor.
was Comic-Con? Hope you had a blast from Daryl Taylor.
Honestly, let's just jump into that. Phil got to go to San Diego Comic-Con this past weekend.
That's awesome.
Phil went to like I said, the mecca of all like nerd fandoms. He was there.
Yeah.
It's the center of the universe.
All right.
Still
Well,
recovering.
moving on to the next segment. Yeah, I was.
So what was it like though? For real though. I mean, right when you got there, what was it like?
Well, okay. So I guess jumping right into it. So I got there on Wednesday. Really? You guys put me on the spot like that. It was really, really kind of life-changing in a way. Like, I was fortunate enough to get a press badge. So I was there from Thursday to Sunday. So Thursday was the first day, but I ended up getting my badge on Wednesday and briefly hanging out with my cousin that day. So I stayed with him most of the time. But Thursday morning, I got in line at like 9 o'clock. I got there at about 8:30 and they opened up at 9:30. But like I was standing in line and chatting up with some people. And I was talking to this guy. We were just shooting the shit about, comics and movies and shit.
Mm.
And then literally right behind him, I see a guy with like security personnel walking up and he's just kind of waiting there. And I get a closer look at him and I was like, oh my God, this is Jim Lee.
Wow.
And this is Jim Lee behind this guy. And I was like, holy fuck. This guy just kept fucking talking my face off. And I was like, hey, Jim Lee's behind you trying to get into the convention center. He was like, what? And he fucking turns around and goes, oh, I'm sorry, Jim. And Jim Lee was like, it's all right. Thank you. You guys have a great con. I was like, you too, man. I love your art.
Wow. It's like right off the bat, you were like,
yeah.
It's like a legend right there. Like,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Like
it's like security.
Lee, like right off the bat. It was definitely something. I did part of the press junket for Planet of the Apes. They had some of the cast and crew there. So
okay.
I was operating the video camera for my colleague who was doing the interviews, and we ended up interviewing pretty much almost everybody. Like,
wow.
we interviewed Kevin Durand, we interviewed Owen Teague, Freya Allen, pretty much everyone on that movie that was there. It was really cool. In passing up inside the hotel in which we did our press stuff, I saw the new cast of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're all teenagers. That was pretty surreal. I saw Tiffany Smith. She was really nice and really cool. I also saw in passing Phil Lamar and Jay Oliva. Like, as I was walking into the press room to do our press rounds for Planet of the Apes, they were walking away, going somewhere else. And I kind of like went, hey, that's Phil Lamar and Jay Oliva. And my friend was like, who? And I was like, what?
What are you talking about?
What's up?
What's up, Taladia?
Taladia plays.
What's up, Taladia?
Dang, that's
and
sick. So like, again, like right off the bat, you met like all these people that we talk about on a daily basis. Like, that's just insane.
Yeah, and like it was even crazier just seeing all these comic book artists and writers just on the floor willy-nilly hanging out, acting like it was nothing. I think it was Friday. I was going back and forth between the Hall H line and just doing the convention rounds and stuff. And as I had left to go back, I had just come back from bar hopping with my uncle, and I'm walking the convention floor, and sure enough, I see fucking Scott Snyder walking around, and I was like, aren't you Scott Snyder? And he goes, yeah, how are you? What's your name? And I was like, I don't have my backpack. I have a bunch of stuff for you to sign. And he was like, oh, it's fine. Just come by my booth and I'll bring you inside and you'll sign it for you. And I was like, what? Okay, cool. And then I didn't see him at all for the rest of the con. So yeah.
Oh,
But that's
Yeah.
awesome, though.
It was dope.
that's cool.
He's a
yeah.
really nice guy. He was super fucking cool. But
yeah.
I talked to him a little bit. I was like, hey, I'm really looking forward to Absolute Batman. And he was like, oh, dude, that Batman is going to be effing awesome. He's big. He's brutal. He's cut motherfucker. I was like, oh, that sounds like my kind of Batman.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 minutes that I interacted with Scott Snyder at last Baltimore Comic Con, he was super nice. So the fact that you probably got more than just 2 minutes, that's pretty awesome.
I did get a picture with him. I sent him to you.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I saw that one.
Yeah. Okay. Then I did send it in the group chat. I wasn't sure if I just sent that one to Dawson directly or if I sent it in the group chat. But yeah. I also ran into Bo DeMaio, writer of X-Men 97 season 1 on the show
Nice.
floor. Yeah.
Mhm.
Ran into him.
He got
also-
sick too. I think it was before or after Comic-Con. He was like, I got COVID. I think it might have
Yeah.
been before.
Probably.
I think
might have
it,
been
and he,
after, I don't know.
it might have been
But,
after. Yeah, but yeah. What's up, Jason?
Thank you. And do you have an explosion?
well, we can do explosion after Phil finishes his thought.
Yeah.
I mean,
Gotcha. Thank you.
you guys can do the explosion. It's fine. It's no big deal.
Here we go. Much appreciated, Jason, for the 20 New Zealand
Woo!
chat.
Um,
But yes,
So that Friday, I was like bouncing back and forth between being in line for Hall H, helping William and Rhea, and another one of my colleagues just getting to Hall H for Saturday. Learning the ins and outs of how to do Comic Con, especially by way of press, was definitely a learning experience. It wasn't until after the fact that I realized I could have stayed in the press line for a couple of those Hall H panels that I would have loved to have been a part of. Case in point, like Deadpool and Wolverine, or even the Alien Romulus one the next day. But I also managed to meet Jake Castorena, who directed X-Men 97. I talked with Larry Houston, who executive produced and created some of the original X-Men the animated series. I did a lot of X-Men stuff. That was pretty interesting. Like just getting to kind of geek out with Jake Castorena about like a lot of 90s animation in and of itself was just a treat and a dream come true. I saw pretty much all of the new fucking costumes from both Captain America, Brave New World, and Deadpool and Wolverine. Like I was within like visual distance, like Rockstar face, fucking very close to seeing these costumes up close and personal.
Wow.
dang.
Yeah, like they even had the Dogpool costume next to Deadpool's costume. It was fucking surreal. It was great.
I mean, why not, right?
I briefly also saw Brad Wonderbaum. He was talking about X-Men 97 and a couple other different things at the Marvel booth. I believe that was Saturday, because I didn't get into Hall H on Saturday until about 1:45. Maybe a bit. Yeah, no. About 1:30, 1:45 is when I got in.
So speaking of that, kind of just talk us through what it's like waiting to get into Hall H. Like, what is that whole situation?
Yeah. What's the
So-
process to get in line? Like, how early do you get there? How
So it's been different from the last few years, from what I understand. But what the way that they had it done this year was they had people waiting out back. So basically on Friday, even from Thursday night into Friday, they had people waiting out back behind the boats by the dock area by the park to line up for the Hall H Saturday line. And so I got there just to hold down a spot for William and Rhea. And I got there at about 9 a.m. And then William didn't show up until about 11 a.m. And then when he showed up, I went back to the con floor, walked around, did some shit, went back at about 1 o'clock, had Rhea. Rhea was there. William was off, I think, doing another panel. Relieved her so she could like use the bathroom and go do the con floor or whatever. And then at about 2, 3, somewhere in there, she comes back and I leave again because I went and hung out with my uncle, got some food. And then at about 5-ish, I went back to the Hall H line. And by this point where I was, the line length had tripled. it is insane at how fast the Hall H line gets, specifically for the Saturday stuff, and especially considering that this was the Hall H line for Hall H after the strikes. This was the first year back where all the major people were going to be there to show off their whatever, like Hall H on Saturday was fucking busy. So when it came to Saturday, I went and saw the press line, and the press line is infinitely shorter than the normal attendee line for Hall H. It is much, much shorter. Now, granted, when you're press, though, you have the option of, depending on what panel you're trying to get into, you can sit in the reserve seat. But once that panel is done, if you have a very specific ticket for a panel at Hall H, like for me, for example, I was sent for Star Trek. I had to cover the Star Trek stuff in Hall H. So I had the choice of being able to sit in this section in Hall H that was green and reserved for press. However, there was also another option. You could go into what is called the cage, and in that point, you're very, very close to talent when they walk up.
Oh wow!
Right? Yeah, it's pretty insane. But the kicker was, if you could only be in the cage, you could only go to the bathroom once. After that, you were no longer allowed back in the press cage. You'd have to go find another seat somewhere else on the floor. I, on the other hand, opted when I finally got in. I just opted to go find a seat that was just vacant in the unreserved area, and I stayed from Star Trek all the way until Kevin Smith at the very end. So by the time I got in there, Hall H was fucking packed. There were loose seats here and there, but it was packed. There were a lot of fucking people. I didn't realize Hall H could fit so many people in this giant fucking hallway. But they've also got the big screen up front with the table and the panelist, and then they've got, what's up, Dwayne? RJ.
What's up, RJ?
The 2 or 3 screens midway, and then there's even some in the back. So I had got there for Star Trek, and the Star Trek panel was actually pretty cool. I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan or anything, but I don't necessarily keep my finger on the pulse, but I pay attention to stuff that's kind of happening in Star Trek. So they had a panel for Brave New World, or Strange New World, sorry, that's getting their 3rd season, and it's getting a 4th. So they had a couple cast and crew members from that. Oh, by the way, when I was waiting in line to get into Star Trek, I actually saw Simon Kinberg, who writes for Star Trek now. But if you know the name, Simon Kinberg wrote a lot of the X-Men movies from Fox.
And he directed Dark Phoenix.
He did direct Dark Phoenix, you're right. But considering I was very up front in line, he was getting in the back of the line. I came very close to sacrificing my spot just so I could walk back there and be like, hey, thank you for Dark Phoenix. I know you tried your damnedest to make that movie, but the merger kind of fucked you out of it. I really wanted to thank him for a lot of the stuff he'd written, because he got a lot of flack for years and years and years from fans just being like, you did X-Men wrong, blah, 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 blah. You don't understand these characters. And I wanted to be like, hey, not all of us feel this way. You put your fucking blood, sweat, and tears into a lot of this stuff. Thank you for your time. He was with his kids, but I was, okay, well, maybe I'll run him into the hall. It didn't happen, but still, it was just cool to see, I'm in line for Star Trek, and then there's fucking Simon Kinberg, not even 10 feet away from me. The guy who wrote a lot of the X-Men stuff, as you mentioned, Dark Phoenix, he directed that film and took it to the finish line through all those hurdles and through the fucking Fox merger with Disney. Seeing him was just oh, that's fucking cool, because now he works on Star Trek. So
I've been watching through a lot of the X-Men movies lately, just since watching Deadpool Wolverine, and I actually watched X-Men 3 today. I honestly love those movies. Revisiting those has been really cool. So it's awesome you got to be able to at least see him.
Well, you wouldn't have the MCU as it is today without those films. Kevin Feige got his start at Fox under Laura Schuler Donner producing those movies. He's the one who snuck the cast and crew X-Men comic books after there was a ban of them, and he was like, nah, fuck that, we're gonna do this right. So getting in after Strange New Worlds, they did a panel for Lower Decks. I saw Jack Quaid, which is cool. He's very funny. Jerry O'Connell also very funny. They had a lot of fun discussing their what is to be their final season for Lower Decks. Tawny Newsome, who's also part of that show, apparently her and the gentleman who was moderating the panel, forgive me, I forget it, Justin Simeon, they're working on a new Star Trek comedy. They announced that at Hall H. And then the third panel was kind of brief because it was about Starfleet Academy, and that's the new show that they're making. And they didn't really have much to show because the show is just very, very early stages, but they've also casted all the Fleet Academy cadets. They have Paul Giamatti. They've got Holly Hunter in that show, but they're very close to start filming it very soon. I believe in Toronto, somewhere in Canada, Vancouver, maybe. I don't remember the exact location, but they're going to start filming that. And then they closed out the Star Trek panel with the Section 31 film starring Michelle Yeoh and Omari Daniels for those of you who might know him from Army of the Dead. He was Vandero. Yeah, he was on the panel. It was very cool. They showed off the first footage of Section 31. If you've seen Star Trek films, this is a vastly different kind of Star Trek film. It is dark. It is grimy. It is very underbelly of Star Trek, but it is also... It amazes me that this is a film made for streaming, because you could have fooled me into thinking they were going to put this in theaters because it looks that fucking good.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah. Section 31 looks fucking awesome, and I will more than likely watch it next year. Even though I know shit fuck all about Discovery, but yeah.
Yeah, I know nothing about Star Trek Discovery. Like my bare minimum knowledge is that I mean, you have William Shatner and the old ones, and then of course the newer movies. Like that's as much as I really know. I also know that the Borg exist because I actually had a friend who was a big Star Trek fan, and I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
We would have arguments about who would win or what weapons win, and my friend would be like, "Well, you know, in Star Trek, there's the Borg, and a Jedi can't defeat the Borg." It's like, why wouldn't they? It's like, oh, well, they like. In fact, people not just like. It's like, yeah, no, the Force and lightsabers and all that. And it's like, you can't just say the Force is an option. It's like, well, the Force, yeah, you can. So anyway, yeah, I don't really know much.
It was overall, like, I feel like the Star Trek panel really, if you're a hardcore Star Trek fan, like that panel delivered in more ways than I can count. And then they had another panel in between that one and the Penguin that was all about like women in the industry. Like they had Alex Borstein, who voiced Lois Griffin on Family Guy, and a couple other people. A couple other prominent women that I'm forgetting their names right now. It's fucking astonishing. I'm sure if I looked it up, I could probably tell you more about it. But in between that, I charged my phone because I knew the Penguin panel was coming up. So when they started the Penguin panel, they brought out cast and crew. Like they had Dylan Clark, they had Matt Reeves, they had Kristen Milioti, they also had the guy who's playing Penguin's right hand, I forget his name, and then Colin Farrell came in virtually because he was off somewhere else shooting for another movie or something.
Yeah,
and they all talked about just like how this series is not necessarily like so much a bridge between movie 1 and 2, but also just like detailing the rise of Oswald Cobblepot's claim to power in this power vacuum that has happened in wake of movie 1.
Because didn't Matt Reeves say that a lot of the story in the series is actually going to be included in the sequel originally when it was
correct? Yes. So
okay.
he did talk about how he wanted to do a lot more with the Penguin, and he was trying to incorporate it in the sequel. But then they went to HBO and Casey Bloys, and they presented them with the idea of the Penguin, and they were like, "Do it." And they got an 8-episode series, and Lauren LaFranc was brought in to oversee the series as executive producer and showrunner. They really started to craft out like who else was going to fill out this world, and that's how you get such a character as like Kristen Milioti as Sophia Falcone, and she described her relationship with Oz in the series as like power struggle-ish, but also there's seasoned history there between the two. So I'm guessing that since Oswald Cobblepot was the right hand to, Falcone himself, there would be some kind of history between him and the daughter. Right. That we're not going to see until, about a month from now, because they did reveal that the show will drop September 19th.
And this takes place like immediately after the Batman.
1 week.
Yeah, one week. Yeah. And I like that too, because it's a direct continuation of the characters we saw in Matt Reeves' The Batman. So yeah, no, it looked really good, especially the trailer.
Yeah, it was insane. Like getting to watch that trailer with a fucking crowd of people who were there for, appreciating the things that this stuff is being adapted from. Like even seeing her character being referenced as the Hangman is like, oh, that's a Dark Victory pull. That's straight out of Dark Victory. because the Hangman Killer's in that book. So that was interesting. And the fact that she's even, people were wondering, like, where was she when all of this was going down? Oh, you find out she was in fucking Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Which was insane. Like I think the trailer for the Penguin was really telling in terms of, like, here's what this series is about. It's about Oswald Cobblepot legit rising to power. He's doing it for not only himself, but he's also kind of doing it to get his mom out of poverty, which is kind of endearing, because we see, a typical mob boss kind of gangster from him in the first film, but you would have never have guessed that, like, guy's mom was still alive. And that's another thing they said was going to be detailed in this series, is like his relationship with his mother. So that'll be very interesting to tackle and witness when that series finally drops.
They did that in Gotham as well, right? With
yes,
yeah.
Matter of fact, Colin Farrell even, like, gave praise and props to the fact that he's now part of, like, a lineage of Penguin actors, beginning with Burgess Meredith and Danny DeVito, and then he said he wanted to watch Gotham prior to doing his series, but he just didn't get the chance to. But he was well aware of the fact that Robin Lord Taylor had portrayed the Penguin in that. So
yeah,
he was just very grateful to be a part of a lineage of people who've had the opportunity to play this character in live action.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you mentioned getting to watch these trailers in front of a massive audience and, like, people reacting and such. I guess that kind of, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here a little bit, but there was a moment this weekend that obviously caused a lot of stir online in regards to the Marvel panel.
Before I get into that, I will also add real quick that Matt Reeves, in fact, said also that Part 2 will begin filming next year.
Yeah.
Early next year. So for anyone who's shedding any doubt that Batman Part 2 is canceled,
it's going to get canceled.
I can fucking tell you, I was there when the man said it. It's not getting canceled. It's fucking happening.
Well,
like
when they changed the name or added the name of, like, what the cake or the crime, what was it? What was the
Batman Epic Crime Saga?
So when they made a change like that, just say, hey, we're going to make a point to, make it,
differentiate
make a name change. Then yeah, I mean, at that point in time, it's like, well, regardless of, I'm glad he also said he's going to film, but right there for me, that just says, hey, they're investing something in this instead of just like, okay, we're going to change the name of it to, like, Batman, alternate universe, and then we're just going to end it, or not even do it or something like that. So, there's two things, two staples, number one, that, and number two, like Phil said, the announcement that they're going to start filming, next year. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, absolutely good news.
Yeah,
love to hear that.
After that panel, I made very quickly to be like, okay, if I'm going to use the bathroom, now would probably be the time to go do it. The ironic part about that is there was a fucking line to use the bathroom, and I completely bypassed it and just walked right in and just waited for the fucking stalls to open because because the guys at security were just kind of occupied dealing with other people, and I was like, just walked right by them, and then, like, as I'm waiting in line, I heard them stop other people, like, hey, you got to get in line to use the bathroom, and I did, like, that meme of, like, side eye. I was like, they didn't see me. Oh well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I may or may not have cut the line to use the bathroom at Hall H NBD. Yeah.
So if you want to use the bathroom, so if you're in Hall H and you're like, holy crap, I gotta go pee really bad, how often are you allowed to leave to go to the bathroom?
So the thing is
there's you want
there's a bathroom in the back corner, so you can just, like, there's a bathroom area, like, for men it was in the back corner on one side, and then for women it was towards the front end on the other side. So it's not so much as, like, you can walk out of Hall H and just go to the bathroom. Like, they had bathrooms in Hall H.
That's cool.
It's convenient, but the fact that they had people lining up was a little redundant.
You're like,
and bring a bladder bag and
but they're like actual bathrooms, right? They're not just like porta potties.
Yeah.
That they just
no, it's actual, because it's a convention center.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, they hold all kinds of stuff in there, like the one over, downtown, Houston. Have been there many times for like expos and shit like that. and it's just regular. It's just big bathrooms like you would have at a stadium or something.
Right. Okay. Let's get back to San Diego Comic-Con. Okay, so you did the Batman panel, which is awesome in itself. I mean, just seeing Matt Reeves being there, I mean, that's so kick-ass.
I can now safely say with confidence I've been in the same room as two men who have directed Batman movies.
Yeah, you breathe the same air.
I've breathed the same air as Matt Reeves and Zack Snyder.
They still have the mustache, or is that gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You shared
that's the important question.
That dude. Let me tell you something.
question.
Let me tell you something about Matt Reeves. That man can talk, and I don't mean that in like a boring kind of way, but the dude can just fucking talk about making movies or television. I will be there to listen all damn day. I love listening to that man talk about his process and how he goes about forging these stories and making them come to life. That man is just an absolute gem, and Warner Brothers is so lucky to have him working on Batman.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way they were ever going to cancel the Batman.
Fuck no.
Because they're like, for one, like, look, the Batman itself was a success. And two, it's like, oh, we want to cancel his project, so then he gets pissed and leaves and goes to Universal or somewhere else.
Well, he would just go back to Disney and say, all right, Planet of the Apes, let's go.
He's already an EP on the next franchise anyway, because he kickstarted the last two. So he already gets like EP credit on everything going forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I could listen to him talk about the craft all damn day. Like, him and Dylan Clark are just a powerhouse duo. I love
the Craft, the TV show back in the day.
Oh my God, no!
I've watched so many episodes. My wife watched. She used to binge watch that show, so I've seen so many episodes. There was a movie, then it turned into a show that was on TNT.
Okay, I never saw
anyway,
I saw the movie.
So after the Batman panel, which already it's like that's huge
awesome
in itself.
You know, being a Batman fan, like I never thought I'd get to experience something Batman related knowledge, and you know, the opportunity arose, and I was like, yeah, I'm here for this.
So the atmosphere in there, when it goes from, let's say, the Batman to what was the next big presentation in Hall H?
So immediately it was Penguin at 4:45, and then Marvel Studios at 6 p.m. So the Penguin panel went from 4:45 to 5:45, 15-minute break, and then they started the Marvel panel. I will say that when the lights dropped for the Penguin trailer, it was the atmosphere, as you said, was just like, it was almost like the air had been sucked out of the room. People were just so enamored by the footage and so enthralled by what they were witnessing. It was just such a fucking experience that I will, cherish for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and you know, and you lead into Marvel paneling right after that and talk about like amazing moments. I mentioned earlier to the moment that kind of broke the internet this past weekend when, you know, they're talking about things with Marvel, and I think they also did a screening of Deadpool and Wolverine there too, didn't they?
So the screening of Deadpool and Wolverine was on Thursday, and that was also the first time I saw the movie. I saw it twice over the weekend. I saw it on Thursday with William and Rhea at about 6:15, roughly around the same time they had it shown in Hall H. Because and now after, you know, doing the press junkets and things like that and learning how the lines for Hall H goes, I very well probably could have gotten in for that, knowing how that went, if I had just stuck in line for press, if they were doing it that same way. I'm not necessarily happy or glad I didn't wait. It would have been cool, to see, you know, the movie with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman and, you know, the guests that they had brought out, as we'll probably get into when we later talk about that film. But yeah, that would have been nice. However, I will also say that Marvel did kick off their Hall H presentation with a dance number honoring Deadpool and Wolverine too.
Really?
They did Madonna's Like a Prayer. Like, they had people dressed in Deadpool and Wolverine garb, and they had like people singing, and they had Deadpool cosplayers come in and fucking dance. It was pretty fucking cool.
That's pretty awesome.
It was awesome. It was
okay, so
awesome.
so
I'm surprised they didn't do Bye 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 by NSYNC or like, I think that'd have been funny.
But when they started, how did they lead off? So they led off with Deadpool and Wolverine.
They did. They led off with Deadpool and Wolverine. Kevin Feige came out on stage and he goes, you know, we love being back in Hall H. We love, you know, honoring what is to come and what has come, and he, you know, he mentions that Deadpool and Wolverine is now out, but he also said something. This is how he kicked off. He said, we also like looking at the past. And now that Deadpool and Wolverine is in the past, we're now looking forward to the future. And he said, and I quote, we have three movies coming out next year. Not 4, 3. And they kicked it off with Captain America Brave New World. We got a very extensive look at that movie. Like, we got a basically extended trailer from the trailer that has been making the rounds for the last 2 weeks. There's already a trend on TikTok by Deadpool sequence. Yeah, that makes sense. But
it's all
there was an extended showcase of Captain America: Brave New World. We got a very good look at that sequence of President Thunderbolt Ross presenting the thing in the hologram with a bunch of people around him. Like, they go into very deep detail of like what that scene encompasses, and I will just say that is the scene that President Thunderbolt Ross makes it clear to the world that adamantium does in fact come from Celestials on Celestial Island. That is very much going to be a thing in that movie.
Finally refer to it.
Correct. However, technically
they all actually call it adamantium. That's no longer vibranium.
You hear him say, hear President Thunderbolt Ross say, adamantium is the mineral found in this Tiamat Island. I'm paraphrasing there, but he basically says like, we have a new type of fucking, material. It's adamantium and it's found here. That is like a point of contention in this movie that, now there's a whole new substance, a whole new material, and like world power is vying for it. So that said, like, this is where you see Isaiah Bradley fucking lose his shit and fucking start shooting at the president. You see a ton of extended shit from this film. Like, and I will also just add that technically, while adamantium is mentioned in the part that I saw, it's technically not the first showcase of adamantium in the MCU. That actually does belong to Deadpool and Wolverine.
Right. That's true.
Because his blades are made of adamantium. Right. So
adamantium katanas? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So they showed off, like, they had like cast and crew come out. They had Anthony Mackie. They had who am I missing? They had Tim Blake Nelson come out. They had Giancarlo Esposito come out, and he announced, like, then and there, everyone's been wondering who I'm playing. And that's when everyone like was like, oh, who is he playing? Who is he playing? Because there have been all these rumors of like, oh, he's GW Bridge, and there's that goof ass scooper who's like, oh, it's Bridge. They called him Bridge on the set. You're fucking wrong. He's playing Sidewinder, leader of the Serpent Society. Suck my nuts, bitch. And that was just so fucking. To hear him utter those words and basically confirm who he's saying and shoot down all these goof ass rumors of like who he's supposed to be playing was just like super fucking cool. But in true Giancarlo Esposito fashion, he just basically like said, yeah, can I say it? Can I say it? And like Kevin Feige gave him the okay. And he's like, yeah, I am something Volker. I am the head of the Serpent Society. And it's going to be like, oh, okay. Interesting. That was dope as fuck. That was really fucking cool. And then after they showed us the trailer.
Art just says he was 100% right when he told people that nobody knew who he was playing.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But I was there when he said who he was playing. So it was after they showed us the extended trailer, they bring out fucking Harrison Ford. And that was like I wondered if he was going to show up or not. But like having him be brought out was just super fucking cool. And also
that's when he did the whole like,
yeah, because in the extended footage, we actually got to see when he turns into Red Hulk.
How does he look? I mean, does he look as big as Bruce Banner's Hulk, or does he look better?
He's pretty fucking huge. He's pretty fucking huge. And I didn't sign an NDA, so I guess I can say it. Like, he turns into Red Hulk during like some presidential address. Like, he gets like, I wouldn't say kidnapped, but he basically gets like, put down, like he's held down, ambushed, and like he gets the serum injected, and then he fucking turns into Red Hulk during a presidential address.
Oh wow! So he does it right then and there. Like, he's just like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it." Did he do it himself, or is that clear?
It wasn't very clear, but it kind of feels like it was kind of forced upon him, like he had it just injected into him by other means. There is a line in the trailer where Tim Blake Nelson's leader says, "Global power is shifting, and you're just a pawn." I feel like there's like. When it comes to this movie, the premise of it is going to be like, global power is vying for control of this adamantium, and unlike who is going to get jurisdiction. What's up, William? Like, who is going to get final jurisdiction over the Tiamat Island and adamantium? Because that made me think all the way back to, well, if Wakanda has complete and total control over most of the world's vibranium,
Yes.
then it would make sense that, oh shit, well now there's a new material, who's going to get control over it, right? Like that to me would be, at least to me, that feels like the driving force behind the plot here. And that would probably be why Sidewinder and the Serpent Society are like, no, fuck that, we're going to manipulate events in our favor, that way we can get some of the adamantium. But yeah, Captain America Brave New World was dope. It looks dope as fuck. I cannot fucking wait for this movie. Looks incredible. No pun intended.
It's crazy too, because I mean, this show went through extensive reshoots, but so far it looks like it's been a benefit to the movie, similar to like Rogue One, like where that one had a lot of what do you call it, reshoots, and I think it still turned out pretty good. So there are cases where extensive reshoots and changing of the story works out.
One other thing. Thunderbolt Ross absolutely wants to reassemble the Avengers. He makes that clear to Sam. He tells Sam, not only do I want to make Captain America an official military position, I want to reassemble the Avengers. And Sam even throws it in his face. He's like, sir, you created the Soviet Accords. Like, now you want to reassemble the Avengers? And Thunderbolt Ross is like, well, mistakes were made. We need a team of people, right? And even Sam's like, and if we disagree about how to handle a certain situation, it for sure is very much like, it feels like Thunderbolt Ross has kind of come away since the events of maybe Civil War and Endgame, and even to a lesser extent Secret Invasion, because he clearly becomes president in wake of what happened after Secret Invasion, because the president then kind of fucked the pooch a little bit with in regards to how to handle the whole scroll thing. So you'd have to imagine that's part of the reason why Thunderbolt Ross is probably elected as president now. But yeah,
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
See, this already sounds so much better than a lot of the stuff that they have been putting out before. I love how it's more, it sort of has this more serious tone. It's action orientated. There's higher stakes that are involved with this. Like I'm super hyped for Captain America. I think it's going to be really, really good.
And finally, we will have people for the past 5 or 6 MCU movies or shows. People are like, we still have not referenced back to this Eternal popping out of the ground. They're finally going to be able to shut up about that.
It's a great idea. I love the idea that's the Celestial is where they get the adamantium from. That's perfect. I was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. So you said they let off with Deadpool, Wolverine, right?
Let off Deadpool to Wolverine. Then they went to Captain America, and then after Captain America, they showcased Thunderbolts. They had a large portion of the cast of Thunderbolts come out on screen.
That's awesome.
They had Lewis Pullman, who's playing a character named Bob. They had, Florence Pugh. They had David Harbour. They had Sebastian Stan. They had, I want to say the actress who plays Ghost was there too. They were basically kind of just talking up the movie about how it's a very different kind of MCU movie. They had the director Jake Schreier there too. Then they showed off footage of that film, which I don't think made its way online at all.
No, I haven't seen any.
So this film feels like Avengers meets Suicide Squad, because what happens is like the trailer kind of opens up with Florence Pugh meeting David Harbour's character. Like they kind of reunite. They kind of talk about I haven't really felt the same since this situation. I've just been trying to jump myself into work to just try and take my mind off of shit. And then you slowly see the other people. Oh, Wyatt Russell was there too, who's playing John Walker. You see all these characters kind of come together in this one space, and then they all kind of start fighting each other. Like when Florence Pugh pops up in this area, when her character Yelena shows up, fucking here comes John Walker, and he's fucking trying to put rounds in her, and they have a fucking shootout. And then you see Ghost, you see Taskmaster, you see a couple different people, you see doors shut, and then you see a fucking timer going off. And then someone says, oh, someone gathered us together so they could fucking kill us. We need to find out who's trying to kill us. You get a couple shots of Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Val. I could forget her fucking giant name, but Val, they show her, they show Sebastian Stan. It again, like the tone of it is similar to Captain America, Brave New World, very espionage, very spy thriller. Yes, I did see the new Captain America suit. with the helmet. They had it on display.
That's pretty sick.
It was very sick. I have pictures there on my Instagram. You can go check them out. I might have posted that one. I might not have. I'm not entirely sure about that.
Because I remember seeing images of them on display. I was like,
I know I for sure shared the ones of the TVA and Cassandra Nova and Paradox and Deadpool Wolverine. I know I for sure shared those.
Mm-hmm. So before we go on to the next panel, you talked about how we started with Deadpool Wolverine. And I think maybe it's a good time for us to talk about the actual fucking movie of Deadpool Wolverine, which I think was super kick-ass. I mean, look, I thought this movie delivered on all levels. I fucking loved this movie. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was phenomenal. It was so much fun. It had so much action, so much humor. But the story that was written for this movie, I actually really enjoyed it. And I thought that it had a lot of really cool scenes. I mean, I love the scene between you know what, before I go any further, let's make sure we play the spoilers.
Yes.
Okay. So
Wolverine, you have been warned.
You have been warned. So I love the scene where Wolverine basically tells Deadpool that he's a fucking joke, and it's obvious why the X-Men or the Avengers never put him on the team. And I loved it because like you've never seen Deadpool basically be told to shut the fuck up, and he was not able to come back with anything. He was just like, "Damn, dude,
I'm gonna fight you now."
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna fight you now. And that's the thing. I love that they fought multiple times in this movie. That was just like, oh my God, it was so cool. Seeing them fight multiple times reminded me of when the first time I saw the Avengers, when you saw Iron Man and Thor fight each other. You saw different combinations of characters going at it. I was like, dude, this is badass. Like, this is something I've been dying to see. But overall, though, like I said, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I'll tell you why I gave it a 9, not a 10 out of 10 later. But I absolutely and thoroughly enjoyed this film.
I went and saw it with a good friend of mine. He was actually my boss for a long time when I was doing sports commentary. But he's a big Wolverine fan, and we went and saw it together. Was it 2 or 3 days ago? I can't remember which day we saw it. But anyway, we went and watched it, and man, I tell you what, I have not had that much fun in a movie theater in a long time. Like I've seen good movies in a movie theater recently, like Dune 2 was a great movie, and it was like really entertaining. But like this was just pure fun, just a lot of great jokes. And one thing that I was actually telling my wife about is that what's interesting about the humor in this movie is that a lot of it is you kind of have to be in the know to get a lot of the jokes that are present in this movie. Right, you have to kind of know like the behind the scenes drama of Marvel and DC. You kind of have to know some drama between like certain actors. Like for instance, when Elektra or Jennifer Gardner's Elektra is introduced, and they're talking about their team they have there with Blade, Gambit, and Johnny before, of course, what happens to him, which is hilarious. We'll get into that for sure. But they say, oh yeah, well, Daredevil went to fight Cassandra Nova and he got killed. And Deadpool looks at Elektra, is like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she's like, it's totally fine. And like, that's not really hilarious unless you know the fact that Ben Affleck and Jennifer Gardner, of course, had their whole thing. And so a lot of that really fun. It was really made it where it was really rewarding to understand what was going on. It was really rewarding to have this nerd knowledge, and you're rewarded with that with great humor. And like you said, the action was great. I texted Phil this the other day. I can't get that opening sequence out of my head of Deadpool fighting the TVA, dancing to NSYNC, and using Logan's skeleton to just slaughter people. I mean, that was badass. So much freaking fun. And, the credits with the fingers and the bones and everything. And then, of course, you got the typical Deadpool movie fashion, flashback to how we got to this point. And I'm with you, Andre. I gave the movie a 9 out of 10. And like you all, kind of going to the smaller things. But overall, it was just a really fun, entertaining time. The only gripe that I had with my theater specifically is that the audio had a bit of issues. So some subtle, quieter moments were hard to hear. And I had these idiots sitting right behind me. And those the seats with buttons you press, lean back and forward. They were like back and forth, just being idiots. And it's already hard to hear as it is. So I just glared at them, just pissing me off, because that's just stupid, especially in a small theater like it was. But regardless, it was still a really fun time. And the fact that, I think we're talking spoilers here, we had freaking Chris Evans come back as Johnny Storm.
Oh yes, dude.
Him saying
It was
"Flame
so
On"
good.
was just like a trip back to when I was like 9 years old when those movies were coming out, or was it 9 or 10? I think it might have been 10.
A couple years ago.
Nah. But no, like seeing him and then him saying "Flame On," and the fact that probably the last time we'll see Chris Evans in a Marvel movie is him on that cussing tirade in the post-credit scene talking about Cassandra Nova is hilarious. I would not be mad if that is his last time on screen. And Anthony Beltray also points out Channing Tatum as Gambit. Like, that's another thing where it doesn't really make you laugh unless you know the fact that he's been trying to be Gambit for years and trying to make a Gambit movie. Yeah. And I know Phil has his own thoughts about that, and we'll get to that. But I loved that they had him in there. His action sequences were awesome. And
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
See him in the role that he's been trying to play for like, what, 10 years?
I love when he's like, what the fuck is he saying?
Who's your dialect coach? The Minions?
Yeah.
Also, I gotta say, and I'm sure we'll all agree with this, I was expecting a lot of cameos. Never in a million years could I have predicted, or I think anyone could have predicted, that one of them would be Wesley Snipes as Blade.
Oh, I know. I was like, holy shit.
The even bigger kicker is that Ryan Reynolds was the one who reached out to him.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And they hated
Good
each
for
other.
him. Good
and
on
freaking Ryan Reynolds.
Good
He's
on
like,
him.
I don't like you. And he's like, you never did.
You never did.
You never did.
Yeah, that was
he's
great.
like, you never did. That was great.
Yeah.
Like all those jokes landed really well. I know, like, for me, when Chris Evans showed up, I literally said, I was like, dude, Steve Rogers. And I thought maybe he was going to be like the shittiest version of Steve Rogers. And then when he says, flame on, I didn't even see it coming. And as soon as he said it, I was like, oh, no shit. I was like, of course. It only makes sense.
No, when Wesley Snipes got on screen, I just lifted my hands in the air. I was like, no freaking way.
Well, and then I love that Johnny Storm, he referenced Reed Richards as if the rest of the Fantastic Four were there at one point.
Yeah.
Well, the Fantastic Car is part of Cassandra Nova.
Yeah. It was in there.
They're driving it around. I love the scene where he cuts off Sabretooth's head, and then Deadpool's like, I have your queen, Furiosa. I was like, oh my God, this is great.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know that I can really add too much more to that. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was really well done. That opening sequence has been living rent free in my head for like the last week. I saw the movie twice over the weekend, so it was really rewarding to be able to see it twice. I want to too. I want to see it for a third time, and I just might this weekend. Yeah, like all of the different Wolverines, like seeing, Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, seeing like original John Byrne Wolverine, seeing fucking Henry Cavill as Wolverine.
Fuck yes.
Was so. Now that, okay, everyone's been saying, oh, Hugh Jackman's the only Wolverine. You can't say that now. He's been played by another actor now, too. And it's fucking Superman. And the whole bit of Deadpool going, oh, come on over to our side. We'll treat you better than those fuckwads down the street. Yeah. Oh, my God. I got a good hearty chuckle out of that one.
That was great.
With that cameo, my favorite thing about that cameo, aside from, the clear diss at DC, which is hilarious, is the fact that when he ejected his claws, he did the Mission Impossible fist pump.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he did. He was like, shh. Yeah.
It's like, oh, yes, that was perfect.
And
it was so badass.
Super punch Deadpool into a fucking wall. That was.
I wonder whose idea that was to have him do the Mission Impossible thing. I wonder if that was Ryan Reynolds or Henry Cavill just like, you know what, why not?
Probably all of them were like, hey, someone probably went, hey, you want to do the Mission Impossible thing one more time? And Henry Cavill probably went, fuck yeah.
Yeah, because his character
so
died.
Jacked. He was huge. Like, working on his bike. I was like, dude. And it worked on so many levels. I was like, dude, if you were to tell me that, hey, he's going to be our next Wolverine, I'd be all for it.
He had the best. He had the best mutton chops.
Yeah, he looked awesome.
And also, I liked him. I thought it looked good on him. I was like,
He looks great. He looks
everything
rugged.
looked great. Yeah.
But also when Deadpool's like, look at you, little comic accurate short king.
That reminded me of Andre.
The short Wolverine.
This movie,
got him.
This movie, if this movie does a great job at anything, it's showing you why comic accuracy doesn't work sometimes. Case in point, the 5'3" Hugh Jackman Wolverine, but also Gambit. Channing Tatum is Gambit.
Yes.
That was intentionally bad, and I knew it was intentionally bad.
Yeah.
I still didn't like it. I was like,
I'm gonna make a
I
name for
love
myself here.
I was like,
Oh,
this
God.
literally proves to me why this wouldn't have worked to begin with. His dialect was off. It was bad. His haircut was bad. He looked like Gambit. I was like, yeah, that's cool. You still don't have the black and red eyes. I was like, there's a fucking missed opportunity there.
the action was cool, and also he couldn't move his head.
I'll give
'cause,
you
like,
that. I'll give you that.
thing.
Yeah, it was. He looked cool, and the action was cool. I'll give you that. But the whole portrayal of it all was just like,
Oh, him and
ooh.
Johnny Storm were the best for me. I couldn't stop laughing with both of them, especially like the dialect coach and all that shit. It was fucking hilarious. It was
Who's your dialect coach? The
Yeah, if
Minions?
if there was a weak spot for me, it's definitely Channing Tatum as Gambit. I was walking out of that film both times. I was like, yeah, that didn't.
The only
end
thing
well.
I
that-
loved it. I loved it. 'cause
I
it was,
I thought
it was so
fucking,
bad that I loved it. I was like,
Blade
yes.
was awesome, but I was like, why the fuck does he have like a little fucking tuft of white? I was like, what the fuck?
I think that's
I was
his
like,
natural hair color.
No, I don't know. Last time I saw him, when he did that interview about Ryan Reynolds,
didn't
calling him or texting rather, he had a hat on, so I couldn't see.
So,
But-
it could have been that. Who knows?
Could have been
I mean,
that. If it
speaking-
was that, then okay, because I thought they don't age. I was like, what the fuck?
Well,
But speaking of Blade, though, I
Hey,
love
Walker.
the diss at Marvel
His was
when he was just
easily-
like, "There's only
He's
been
the only
Blade."
one. He's the only.
And Deadpool
Blade.
just looks
Hell
at the camera
yeah.
like,
He was
Yep.
easily the biggest like crowd go wild scene. Like when Wesley
Yes.
Snipes walked into frame, everyone, both times I saw the movie, everyone lost their fucking shit.
Well, the
Yeah.
best thing about Blade was he had his little God, what
Batarang
batarang, whatever.
No, that wasn't the best thing about Blade. You know what the best thing about Blade was in this movie? Some motherfuckers are still trying to ice skate uphill. That was the best
he
thing
used
about
the
this
same
Blade.
line.
God,
He used the
that's
same
that
line. I
callback
was like,
line, yeah.
That was great. That was
Well,
hands down the best thing about.
But
this
he
version
used
of
the
Blade.
batarang. He was like,
yeah, and I was like, oh, that's fucking dope.
Yeah.
Of course, it was. There were so many things in this movie that was like every nerd's like fucking wet dream. I was like, dude, they did exactly what you hope that they would do. He used that batarang thing. He said that line.
Mhm.
Channing Tatum, the special effects on his cards were
Yeah.
badass, and his
That's really
staff.
great. Yeah,
It was so fucking cool. It's funny because like when you see Elektra, you're like, oh, cool. And then when you see Wesley Snipes, everyone loses their shit. Like, holy fuck, what? And then when you see Channing Tatum, you're like, if you know, you know. You're just
Mhm.
like, oh my
Yeah.
god, they did this. How did they pull this?
I'm
one
sorry,
off?
but the mask on his head, because of the shape of his head, is fucking round. It looked ridiculous. It's kind of like
It did.
it's
That was
no,
the
it
point,
just didn't
though.
look
It was
right.
like,
Yeah, I know.
it
But
was like,
the
here
worst
it
thing,
is.
the worst thing was his hair. Because it was
Yes.
like slicked to
It
the
was very
side or some
fake.
shit. I was like, oh my god,
Very
no, that
fake.
looks
well,
dumb.
Bad all
when he-
around. So
when he
there's
was
that,
like,
too.
he's like, it feels like I was born here. And the boy,
no,
killed me.
what about that? What about that line of everybody? Like, he was talking about like everybody has their own universe, but even people that don't have their own universe.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because like they're all like,
he's
yeah,
like,
I
oh,
ended
the
up here a couple
universe that
years
no one
ago."
ever knew of.
He's like, I think I was born here.
that shit was
It
great.
was so great. I was like, oh my god. And then I thought, obviously, Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. That was a great
Yeah.
cameo.
And the fact
That
the
was
visual
great.
effects look similar to the Fantastic Four movies from when he flamed on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, that looked exactly like it.
And then Pyro just simply sucked all the fire out of him. It was like,
Yeah.
now you're screwed.
Because at
Um,
first I kind of, not to leave Andre alone, but I kind of thought he was Steve Rogers because when you saw his forearms, they were white and red.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
thought it
And
was.
I was like,
I thought it
and
was.
so I was like, oh, okay, wow, maybe this is a skinny Steve Rogers. But then when he said flame on, I was like, oh fuck. I was like, and after that, it was great, and
And the builder from Deadpool's like, he's gonna say it. He's gonna
Yeah.
say it. I was
gonna
like,
say
no, he's not, because
Well,
I
they
figured
played it. They played it really well because he jumps down just like Captain America.
Yeah,
would.
they're
He goes,
like
now that's a
superhero.
superhero landing, right?
Mhm.
And then like he's getting ready to say what he's gonna say, and then Deadpool's like, "Oh, he's gonna say it. He's gonna say it. Avengers, flame on!" And it was just fucking like, whoa, hell yeah.
I loved when they first get to the void and they're hella and like Wolverine's pissed at him, and then Wolverine bends down and he extends his claws. He's getting ready to fight him, and then Deadpool looks over and he sees the magazines on that piece of metal, so he's like,
Yeah.
okay, I know what and then he does that move that we saw in the trailer.
Well, also when he
catches
says,
him.
grab your special sock, nerds.
yeah, he's like,
Yeah,
it was
Yeah.
dude, it was so good. It was just
and
like,
they played that
yes,
fight
yes,
to Hell's Bells
yeah.
by AC/DC.
That was badass.
I'm not really one on needle drops in comic book films, but man, Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds and crew, like they knew exactly what kind of songs to fit per sequence in this film.
Yes.
So well done. They saw what James Gunn did, and they went, hold our fucking beer. And they fucking just top tier. This is a top tier comic book film, despite my 2 issues with it. And I wouldn't even call them issues. They're more nitpicks than anything.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that like I remember watching that scene and it was Hell's Bells by AC/DC, and I remember thinking, I was like, fuck yeah, dude, this is fucking badass. Like they could have easily gone with just like a, you know, cinematic soundtrack with guitar, but no, they're like, no, we're gonna put a badass track onto this as well, just to make this that much better. And their fight sequences, dude, I loved how they would stab the shit out of each other, shoot each other, and like neither one could die, so it didn't really, it didn't make a difference, but they were just fucking each other up.
As brutal as you want to be, right?
Or the second fight in the Honda Odyssey was just even fucking more funny because they're fighting to the Grease song. What is it? Fucking
I got a chance.
Yes, and they just
they also had
each other
Greatest Showman music when he hit Deadpool.
Oh yes.
Well, that's the thing is like the music in this movie made it that much more of an experience. Like the fact that the fact that they used Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls not once but twice, and then the clip where like he is risen, and they walk out to Iris is like like that was, and then also Avril Lavigne when they're driving in the van. The only regret, the only thing I wish they would have had that they didn't is when Elektra showed up on screen, play a sample of Evanescence. That would have been freaking hilarious.
That would have been great.
Okay, I can kind of understand that.
One missed opportunity.
I would say
I thought X-23 was really good.
Yeah,
Daphne Keane as X-23, an older X-23. I thought she looked fucking badass. And even her fight sequences, I was like, dude, this is awesome.
If you wanted to do the Tom Taylor Wolverine and have it be X-23 for the MCU going forward after Secret Wars, I'd be totally fine with that, especially if it's her. Like, just give her a Wolverine outfit, let her be the Wolverine for the MCU going forward.
They would do that because I mean, you know, they've already got her for Star Wars, so I mean, you know, it's just like one of those actors that they just keep employing. So yeah.
Well, I think they're going to keep her as X-23. I mean, obviously, but I don't see her as taking the mantle of Wolverine. I think they're going to give her like her own franchise, kind of like, hey, let's see if we can build something off of her on her own, and then also have a new Wolverine whenever.
Or maybe
they
like
decide
a younger
to redo
mutant team. Maybe they'll try to like
or add her to the Young Avengers. Fuck it. Yeah.
Or maybe they'll try to do like New Mutants again or something like that and add her to that team. Maybe.
The only thing that was a little weird about her. And it wasn't even that weird. The only thing I noticed was that I was like, well, wait a minute, hold on. And Logan, she had an accent. She had like a Hispanic accent. She was like, you took all the medicine. But in this movie, that's how she was talking.
She's older,
And she's older. And she's like, hey, what's up? And I was like, okay, they just dropped that. They're
she
like,
grew up.
Just talk.
That's the way I justify it. She grew up.
But no, I think definitely
like Andy Kaufman.
in the MCU, we're going to get more of Daphne Keane's X-23. And there's a reason why we saw her at the end. I was like, okay, well, they're going to bring her over.
If you pay attention to what Deadpool's saying, they're going to employ Hugh Jackman until he's 90.
Yeah.
which was a great joke, by the way. Well, that was a fucking great joke.
Jay.
But I thought both of them did an outstanding job with the roles. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds, he killed it like he always does. But I thought Hugh Jackman's portrayal of this version of Wolverine, I mean, in a lot of ways, this was like the best version of Wolverine I've ever seen him put out there. When he's yelling at Deadpool, when he's telling him why the Avengers and X-Men didn't choose him, that was so well done. I was like, fuck.
Great delivery. I mean, you pointed out, and I've seen several like videos of it online just showing that sequence alone. And it's like, he went all in on that delivery, that dialogue. And also, I think someone pointed out in the chat when, Mary Poppins shows up and the look that Logan gives him, just like, what is wrong with you?
You really are God's perfect idiot, aren't you?
Okay. He's like, God's greatest joke is that you can't fucking die. and
we're all fucking stuck with it.
Yeah, it was perfect. I was like,
Nice Pool. Nice Pool was so.
I thought he was hilarious.
This is great. Why don't you have a mask? Come on.
He's like, I can gently tap the fourth wall too. The proposal.
Yeah,
that was well done.
And then the fact that he's like, all right, well, just how long does it take you to regenerate? Regenerate?
And
the fact that he kind of killed Sing and take his gold.
That was the
But he didn't
best
use 'em.
delivery.
Did
He's
he?
like,
I didn't see him use them after.
He
that.
used
may
him
have-
right after, yeah.
Yeah.
but
nice
I loved
word.
that he was just like, however, these golden desert eagles.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, you
That's the real
motherfucker.
reason.
Because he asked
like
for them early on. Remember, he's like, "Can I have those?"
The
No.
blatant foreshadowing when they get the Honda Odyssey and he's talking to Dogpool. Anything ever happens to your papa, just come find me.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking
Your
funny.
papa.
And then
You're-
when
you're
Deadpool's sitting there with his
papa.
mask off and the dog is just licking him in the mouth, he's just like staring at Nicepool as he's talking.
Hugh Jackman's Wolverine's reaction to all of that is just fucking priceless. Just so like, what the fuck am I even doing here right now? Witnessing this is just so perfect. It's
mean-
just so, man. Like to your point, Andre. Like this is hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, probably, if not for sure, Hugh Jackman's best performance as Wolverine.
We're just saying something. 'cause-
Which I think half of that is probably attributed to the fact he's finally in a fucking yellow suit, which
Yeah.
took 24 years.
But the brown suit I thought looked
I
really
thought the
good
brown suit
too.
looked really good too.
Although I don't know if it was a real suit, it could have just been a CGI
been
suit that he
CGI.
had on, but it
Oh,
still
no,
looked
I think
really
it-
cool.
I think it was for sure a different suit because they had him in the Age of Apocalypse suit. They had him in that.
Yeah.
They had him like up on the cross in that one issue of X-Men. Like they did as much variation with Wolverine as you probably could
I
have,
love
and it
Deadpool's
was-
reaction to that. He's like, "Whoa, are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna get going now. You just
It's
hang
not
out.
you. We're just gonna go in a different direction."
Yeah.
Yep. Age of
I
Apocalypse
think-
Wolverine looked fucking perfect. That was
Yeah.
awesome to see.
Badass.
I never
saw the
thought
stump, I
they'd
was
like
no freaking way.
Yeah, I'd never thought they'd allude to, some kind of like future dystopian thing again following like, Deadpool 2 and Days of Future Past. But they did. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So we're still doing this. I'm down with this.
The Deadpool 2 intro where it shows like the future and you see where
Yeah.
Cable came from. That was fucking really cool. But no, this film, like I said, it felt like, and I know this wasn't the case, but it felt like there was a group of, or if not a single person who knew the lore and was a nerd and would say, "Hey, wait, let's make sure we do this. Let's make sure we do this." And that's exactly what they were doing. They were just like, "Okay, and in this scene, we got to make sure we deliver on this." Like, yes, and they
Speaking of
delivered
which,
all the way through. Go ahead.
I will just say that I think Cassandra Nova was an infinitely better villain than Paradox. Because,
Yes.
Paradox is all mustache twirling. Oh, I'm going to build the Time Ripper and I'm going to destroy your fucking universe. Oh, we're operating unbeknownst to the TVA. And Cassandra Nova is just like, I'm going to fucking kill you if you don't fucking side with me. That's just all there is to it. But I'm going to have fun doing it
Skinning
too.
Johnny Storm in the blink of an eye. Like,
Oh.
holy
Oh
crap.
my god! very
yeah,
nice.
I was disappointed with that. Even though it was funny, I was just like, because I really liked him. I was like, oh hell yeah. Let's get some
Didn't
more of it.
Deadpool say something like, "Oh, it's all we could afford of him" or something like that?
Yeah. That was
Oh
well done.
my gosh.
No,
When in the beginning, when the guy with the beard was like, no speaking lines for you.
Are you trying to ad lib?
Or the guy, what's his name, Steve, or they all have the friend,
Peter.
Deadpool's friend, Peter.
Peter, yeah.
They all have a Peter, and he's well loved by everybody.
I also I think this is just probably the most hilarious part of the third act is the fact that they both connect for the reaction to try to take out Cassandra Nova. And the only thing that gets destroyed is Hugh Jackman's top. And you see
Oh
it.
yeah, that was pretty funny.
And Deadpool's
I liked-
looking at his abs, just like, oh,
and that other girl from with the time cops or whatever the fuck, that the TVA, they were checking him out. They're like, oh shit, look at his, because they came out. That's the only thing that I didn't like about the film, as far as the narrative, is that you had Cassandra on one end and she had her arms in this thing, and then you had Deadpool and Wolverine on the other end, and they had their arms in the thing, and they just helicoptered around both of them. And I was just like, okay, that's the climax, or that's the. I was like, okay.
Well, that's the
But
thing. The plot and villains of this movie is probably the weaker points. Even though Cassandra
Yeah.
Nova was good, but that aspect of it was definitely weak. But the rest of it made up.
beam in the sky. That's for sure.
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
Everything
I
else
thought it
made
was
up
good.
for it though.
I liked it because I figured, as a telepath and how powerful Cassandra Nova was, there was no way they were really ever going to be able to defeat her.
Right.
So by doing it in this way, it was the only way that they can do something that.
Well,
that
they did
could
kind of
challenge
defeat her a little bit,
They put the helmet on her.
Yeah,
which,
I mean,
again,
you know, which
I thought
for the
that was-
record, I liked that more than I liked the fucking helicopter.
But see,
Juggernaut's
I-
death was
I
actually
loved
pretty
what-
fucking funny. Not gonna lie, like the way they
yeah.
killed
I
Juggernaut
loved-
in this movie was fucking hilarious.
I loved that they like you could have argued yes they could have killed her right then and there, but I loved what they did with that scene though. How
Yeah,
he's holding her, he's like, do it, finish her off. And he's
No,
like,
no, I get what you're
no,
saying.
and I'm not saying you don't, but what I'm saying, I'm just saying in general, I love
Yeah.
what they did with that instead.
About referencing Charles and
he
wouldn't do
was
this.
like,
Yeah.
Charles wouldn't let me do this, and
Yeah.
and then she realizes, like, you know, for that moment, like, you know, he truly did love you, didn't he? And then she helps them, which I was like, dude, that was fucking awesome.
An impossible jump. we
A
were talking about
superhero
like,
jump.
if
I
me and
love that
Andre jumped
scene.
off of there, we would have.
I
we
love
would've
that
died.
scene because she's got the helmet on and Deadpool's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And she's like, "I have no idea." That made me laugh. That was genuinely kind of funny. But yeah, like
Oh.
I
that
loved-
scene was dope for a lot of.
I
different
love the
reasons.
effect of when Cassandra Nova would put her hand like into your head.
That was
Yeah.
weird.
Oh,
It
I
made
was
me
like,
cringe
"Holy
when she was like in the eye sockets and shit.
And then she would drag people by their
Yeah.
head.
And it actually looked convincing CGI wise. That was the thing
Yeah.
too in this movie is that there was only one frame or one shot where the CGI was kind of
found
iffy, and
the
that's
frame?
that's when Wolverine jumped out of the bus and he's like standing there,
he
and it's
was like,
obviously a CGI model.
Yeah.
But like
I think
other
for
than that,
me-
the CGI was great.
The one shot that I knew felt kind of shoddy wasn't that one. I thought that one actually looked kind of good. I thought the one that looked shoddy was obviously like the 5'3" Wolverine one.
He did look
Yeah,
fake.
yeah.
It looked sort of like Lord of the Rings forced perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that what would have been cooler or better is if they'd actually got somebody short and just superimposed Hugh's head on that person.
Yeah, they just
then-
made
yeah,
him.
'cause they do that
They
a
just
lot.
made him short with special
Yeah, and
effects.
so I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
Other than that, I love that the Fox superhero team that they put together. I love that none of them died. I love that. Like,
Yeah.
I thought when they went into that battle, that one by one they'd start to die. You
Yeah.
saw Lecture get hit. You saw one of them get hit.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, so one by one they're gonna start dying. No, they fucking beat everyone, and then they just let themselves get consumed by the what do you call it?
The dragon thing.
The
Goliath.
dragon thing. The Goliath.
And
yeah.
they honestly gave redemption to people who didn't really. I mean, like with Blade Trinity, the third movie in the Blade trilogy was just a whole mess surrounding that. With
Yeah.
Electra
Between
was a
Reynolds
fucking
and-
mess of a movie. So yeah.
Electra, yes, so she
Yeah.
got a bit of redemption. Channing Tatum, of course, never got the chance to play in a movie, so they all had a chance to kind of find some redemption with those.
Could have done without
roles.
that.
Sure,
Oh man,
but-
no way!
but-
that
but
was
you know what I
that
mean,
was
you know what I
so
mean, though.
genius. That was
like
awesome.
to Phil's credit though, when we were talking about this in the group chat, to me, yes, it definitely proved that like that movie would never have worked. But
No.
I loved that he was
Right.
in this movie playing that role,
Yeah.
just to show you like, yeah, this is ridiculous, but we're gonna do it anyway. You
Yeah.
know, it was-
It was by
I'm
design.
sorry, he was way better than the one from the X-Men. I'm from the Wolverine movie.
I'm sorry,
Uh,
no,
yeah, I'm
no.
gonna disagree with you.
Taylor
there.
Kish all day long. I love Taylor Kish.
Oh man, that sucked, dude. Ugh, I didn't like him. I was
I
like,
wasn't a huge fan of Taylor Kish.
Get out.
Oh, he kicked him out. That was Dawson.
Fuck off.
He has authority.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
sorry. I love it.
oh well, there you go. Don't care. Oh shit!
Oh,
I'm back.
He's trying to get you back.
There you go.
Um,
Paradox didn't tell his boss what he was doing. Yeah.
No, Deadpool calls him out on it very early on in the movie. He's like, "Wait a minute, you're operating fucking off book, aren't you?" And that's when they get
Mhm.
thrown in the void.
So my question is this: is that early on, or when he first brought him to the TVA, was he telling the truth about having him join, or like Earth 616 and joining, that
Probably.
universe,
Probably.
or
Yeah.
was it all a ploy? Just because it seems like he purged him when everything was falling apart, when he felt threatened by him. That's when he was like, and he
Well,
purged him into the void.
his whole spiel was like, I'm going to prove to the TVA that these timelines don't need to exist. I'm going to prove to the TVA that pruning still fucking works. It's like, an old policy that people think worked but didn't work, and they're still like, no, this works. It's like, no, it doesn't work. You're not doing your job right, and honestly, something needs to happen to you because you're just not following orders.
But still, even that in itself, I wonder if that is like an analogy to fans in general who are like, no, only Christopher Reeve's Superman, or no, you can't do this. That will never work. It's kind of like an analogy of like, hey, look, this guy still believes in, like, oh, purging is the way to do everything. Like he still he still believes in the old ways. And so
This movie also inadvertently sets up two things. Number one, the idea of an anchor being, because we find out that Wolverine was in fact the anchor being of Earth 10,005.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also establishes that this is the first MCU film that does not take place in the MCU sacred timeline. Technically speaking, it does take place in the void, yes, but the world Deadpool comes from is not mainline 616-1999. So this paves the way for Fantastic Four to exist.
Yes, absolutely, because they're in their own universe. I mean, we know that based on the images that we saw in the city, how it looks like, looks like,
and their movie is set in the 60s, right?
Yes.
And then
and
they're gonna have to be sort of, I guess, purged or put into the 616 timeline at some point or whatever, right?
Well, I guess we can kind of jump from Deadpool and Wolverine to the Fantastic Four, shall we?
We might as well.
That was something that was shown off at San Diego as well. They had
they had footage, right? Didn't they have actual footage? Yeah.
So they had Matt Shackman come out, like Kevin Feige introduced Matt Shackman, the director of the project, and they were talking about, the development of Fantastic Four up to this point. That shooting started yesterday, but in past tense, they said they were going to start shooting, Tuesday being yesterday, and that they had done a whole bunch of different research for different kinds of rocks for the look of the thing. They had done a whole bunch of different things of making it feel authentic, 1960s. And then they were like, we got the cast and crew together in London last week so we could kind of put together this sizzle to show you what the movie is going to be like. Not necessarily footage from the film, but what this film is going to be like. Conceptual sizzle reel, basically. Yeah. And this footage felt like it was straight out of watching a 1960s infograph VHS or something to that level, like some kind of reel, if you will, of how things were in the 60s, like stock footage, more or less. And they had, I'm going to tell you guys right now, like Pedro Pascal completely sells it as Reed Richards. He fucking nails it. It is night and day from Pedro Pascal, in every day doing interviews and shit, and his performance as Reed Richards. It is fucking phenomenal. Nice. Sue Storm looks fantastic. Johnny Storm is very he's humble, but you could tell they're treating him like the heartthrob. And there's even camaraderie between Ben and Reed. There was, it to Axel's point, I did not actually see the Galactus bit. That one was a blink and you miss it moment, no pun intended, because you just see his eyes. But yeah, he was in the footage. They showed you the Baxter building. They showed you this like really cool looking rocket. They showed so much.
There's a silhouette shot of what the thing is going to look like, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Did they show 100%. any of the costumes? No. Do you think they'll look like the Alex Ross painting, like sort of like to where they would look like they belong in that era, as far as like, you know, maybe like the Incredibles or whatever? You know, like
I think it's
like
going to look a lot like how it looks in the concept art. I think it's going to look a lot like that.
Okay.
Based on this and even the title itself, Fantastic Four: The First Steps, I feel like they're going to do the origin again, which I'm fine with. I have no problem with that. It very much does feel like we're retelling the origin again of Marvel's first family, but we're going to do it in the biggest, baddest way possible by way of Galactus as well. There was no like Silver Surfer or anything like that, because I don't think Julie Gardner was there in London for filming or anything like that. The footage itself was very, very like sleek and cool. Like I being the fan that I am of Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four by association, I was just, this was the panel I had wanted to see. Like, this was the thing that I wanted to see at Comic-Con. I wanted to get a first glimpse of Fantastic Four, and I got my wish. Like, this film looks fucking fantastic just based on the really concept. Cool. It looks really fucking cool, and I can't wait to see this movie next year. It's going to be awesome.
Since it's an origin film, again, do you think that, and they just announced, you know, RDJ is Doom, and Doom is always synonymous with...
You just spoiled it.
We
hadn't gotten there yet.
Well, no. This is Fantastic Four related. Is that, you know, in the past, you know, 2 films that they made or franchises that they tried, you know, first one was good. Do you think that they'll be referenced or he'll be, you know, sort of a flashback?
Let me put it to you this way. So to piggyback on that, and also to go into that, they announced the Russo brothers are in fact directing Avengers 5 and 6. Avengers 5 has been rebranded Avengers Doomsday. When that title card came out, I was at first, the gears didn't click. Like I was like, Avengers Doomsday. It's weird to title an Avengers movie after a DC character. And then when the Russo brothers started talking about we need the greatest actor of all time to play Victor Von Doom, I was like, oh, okay. So they are doing Secret Wars in the way that it's been supposed to be done, by way of having Dr. Doom be the one head of Battleworld. I was like, okay, I see the fucking dots connecting now. And then I was like, well, fuck, who the fuck are they going to get to play Dr. Doom? And then they had all these Dooms on stage, right, in brown cloaks, and then they all move apart, and then there's one in green, fucking walks out, yanks the mask off, and it's fucking Robert Downey Jr. I lost my fucking shit. I shit you fucking not. I lost my collective shit when they brought him out on stage and announced him as the Victor Von Doom for the MCU.
He did. I saw his video. He was screaming.
Dude, I lost my fucking shit. It's on my YouTube page. It's on my YouTube page as a short. I fucking lost it. It was incredible. And this casting to me makes the most sense ever, because if you were going to have Dr. Doom be the one to essentially dismantle this era of the MCU and consolidate it into one timeline, effectively, basically really bringing this era of the MCU to an end, who better to do it than the guy who started it as a variant of Tony Stark in some way, shape, or form? Because I'll tell you this, there's no fucking coincidence that they're shooting Fantastic Four right now and they announce him casted as Victor Von Doom, because you cannot have the Fantastic Four without Victor Von Doom.
Yeah, he has to be some way connected to
Right. That's why I was like, are they just gonna reference it? Is it gonna be a flashback? What
he's likely, the Victor Von Doom played by Tony Stark is likely going to be from the same universe as the Fantastic Four. That's my guess.
Yeah.
That to me seems like the most logical choice at this point, because why else would they announce this casting for those two movies? And they even said the Fantastic Four will be in both Avengers movies. Why would that be the case? Probably because Victor Von Doom is the big fucking bad, and he's Reed Richards' arch nemesis.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I love Robert Downey Jr. as an actor. I know the internet's kind of two minds about this whole situation.
I could give a fuck. Back. I don't care.
Right. Well,
I'm just gonna say it right now. I'm not disagreeing with you. The internet's wrong. They're fucking wrong. They don't understand storytelling. They don't understand fuck all about what goes into making these movies, and what makes this casting about it so fucking special. The internet's wrong. I don't care.
Sure, but I'll present the ideas.
I thought it was an interesting choice. I liked, Aaron Bailey had a theory about how, he gets there. Now, so if he's not in the Fantastic Four, he had a really good theory about how he would come to our planet, which I thought was really, really good, in the sense that the sacred timeline is starting to decay, which could be an omen to how the MCU hasn't done very well lately. And then they bring over a Tony Stark to try and be the new anchor.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Here's the thing. It's been confirmed that the anchor being of 616 is actually still alive. It was not Tony Stark or Steve Rogers. So it's someone else.
I wonder who. I mean, is it going to be? I don't think it'd be
Tom
Holland.
The rumor is it's Spider-Man.
But he was dead for 5 years. So why wasn't the timeline unraveling?
Well,
I guess they weren't really thinking about it back then.
Paradox says it takes thousands of years for the timeline to unravel.
Dawson.
I guess
Dawson. God,
that's a good point.
Man, Phil shot that one down.
Let me just present the different minds that are about this. So of course, there's one hand where, obviously, a lot of people are really happy about it because everyone loves Robert Downey Jr. and what he did with Tony Stark, and he's a great actor. And like Phil said, the idea of him coming in and kind of retooling things in the MCU as a different character, as a villain, no less, is a really intriguing concept. There are other sides of the internet that are not very happy with it. They kind of think of it as a desperate plea. This is not my thought process, but this is what I've seen as a narrative from half the side of fandom.
Yeah, someone else thinks the same thing.
I mean, that's the first thought that came. I mean, because I wasn't thinking about what Phil said was pretty convincing. But yeah, no, I mean, just from the initial, when I saw it, on my phone, and he came out, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense, because he's a completely different guy, and I get that you got Chris Evans that just played Captain America and fucking Johnny Storm, and you got fucking Thanos, Thanos and Cable, but those were two different universes.
And
studios,
I would from a different universe.
Yeah,
I would argue the same thing here. It's not going to be Dr. Doom from
Right.
616.
I think it's cool because like I want to see more Robert Downey Jr. in the MCU. So I was like, cool.
Here's
It
the
doesn't
thing.
make sense.
They're gonna do
Not
the
really,
same
but
thing
who
where
cares?
it's him in his helmet, just like they do for Iron Man, but he's in the Doom helmet instead of the Iron Man helmet.
Well, here's
If
my
they,
thing
if
with
they
it,
did
though.
one of those, I think that'd be pretty cool.
My main question with this is that I have a feeling that they're going to use the fact that he looks like Tony Stark to kind of create some drama. But my hope for it is that they'll
Confuse
simply
the
rely.
team.
Yeah, but my hope is that they'll just rely on Robert Downey Jr.'s acting prowess and have him in the mask the entire time and not really draw attention to that. Because I feel like to me that would, because people are going to know there's going to be, you know.
I know, but
Dr.
like
Doom.
RJ's saying,
So-
I mean, are we talking about RDJ with the mask on?
I want to
I
get
hope
the
it's
mask
not a
on
Will
also.
Okay.
Smith.
Here's the thing. I think I'm going to disagree with RJ on this. I think he's going to be in the mask
Yes.
for a large portion of it. And then that's when his
so.
mask gets cracked and people like Tom Holland, Spider-Man, Captain America, not even Steve Rogers, but like, you know, Anthony Mackie or Captain Marvel, like, or Thor, when they see who's behind that mask, that is going to be the emotional impact because everyone's going to be like, oh, fuck. No,
Yeah.
like just imagine Peter Parker's reaction to that alone. The man who saved their universe, he's now facing off against someone who's trying to dismantle it.
Yeah.
That's going to
it would
hit
make
pretty hard.
sense if Peter Parker was the anchor, because then
Yes, it would.
if Doctor Doom figures that out, then he can literally hold Peter Parker hostage, saying like, if I destroy him, I destroy your universe. You know what I mean? Like he's like the, you know. So
But yeah, make it to where he wears the mask as much as possible, barely ever show his face, if at all, in my opinion, and just rely on his ability to act and be a complicated
Well,
character.
if they
Robert
do
Downey
that
Jr. said.
thing, you know, where they just show him inside the mask talking, you know, emoting, just like he did with Iron Man.
I
I
don't-
don't,
I don't
think
think
they'll
they
do that. But if they did that, I mean, because he's getting older. He's in his late 50s, 60s, something like that. I mean, he's not as agile as he used to be. Most people, I mean, it won't be him in the costume for a lot of the stuff, you know, that's physical.
Sure.
So I mean, you know, I think he's a good enough actor that he can just lend his ADR for a lot of it and
I think
be fine.
if they're going to showcase just how powerful Doom is, I think he's going to take out one of the mainstays. Honestly, I'm going to call it now. I think RDJ's Victor Von Doom is going to kill Thor right off the bat.
Well, yeah, because they had two bad
I
movies.
can agree with that.
Not even because of that, but like look at the way they started off Infinity War. They had Thanos clown Hulk within 30 seconds. You want to make a bigger impact than that? You take off your strongest player off the bat, just
But
like
then
that.
Thor was crying in Deadpool.
yeah, he's like,
We gotta
anything.
find
what's
out.
that? Is
That
that
doesn't
me?
mean
Is that
anything.
Thor? Is he crying? Don't look at that.
Real-
That's a
real
distant
quick.
future.
We got a $10
What's
super
up,
chat
Dwayne?
from our
Thank
friend
you.
Dwayne Jackson. Here's an explosion. Dwayne asking the question's kind of the core of our conversation right now, saying, do you think making Robert Downey Jr. Dr. Doom is Marvel panicking because of the last flops of the MCU, or was it they had a change of course of the Jonathan Majors situation? I'd say it's the latter.
The latter.
not
Yeah.
the former.
Yeah.
Latter, not the former. The Marvel machine has made money for years. The two flops won't spook them into doing anything. The Jonathan Majors situation absolutely forced their hand in pivoting to doing Doctor Doom. And honestly, I'm fine with it. Doctor Doom is probably the more recognizable villain than Kang ever was.
Plus,
And-
Kang wasn't really hitting it with people, you know,
Yeah.
for being quite
Well,
honest.
yeah, I mean, and the way that, you know, Phil had just described about, you know, Robert Downey Jr. starting the universe and then ending the universe, you know, and ending this whole MCU kind of, you know, thing, like he started it and ended it. That's kind of bookending it pretty good to me.
And I'd kind of like to see, in order to like close off the Kang thing, I'd want to see Doctor Doom at RDJ's Doctor Doom go into that whole area where all the Kangs are gathering and just wipe them all out.
Now that could be
I
the
think
scene where you're like, okay, now he really is a badass. Kind of like the Thanos
you-
Hulk scene. Where he
you
goes
could-
in there and kills the Council of Kangs.
I could effectively see that already being written off by Loki season 2 when Loki pulled everything together and consolidated shit. I could see that being the end of Kang as it was, because that was the last time we saw Kang.
That'd be
effectively
the,
in
that'd be the
MCU.
lazier way to go, but it could still make sense.
I mean, they're will or won't they address the Kangs? I'm not 100% sure on that. I do see them absolutely just moving forward with Doctor Doom.
I think it would be responsible of them to do so, as far as like, you know, for the people who didn't catch Loki, Not everybody's
It's
watched every single MCU.
That's true.
It's a rock and a hard place, right? Because you know you have that one dangling post-credit sequence from Ant-Man Quantumania, right? And then you also have like the other. But honestly, I think there's more of a chance of them paying off.
Just bring
the
in that
ending
guy
of the
from
Marvels.
Fallout. You know, you remember that guy from Fallout that was
Yeah,
the Knight?
he played the Knight of the Brotherhood. Sure,
He could be Kang for a couple moments or whatever.
Well,
and then
I think they will
move
recast
forward.
Kang for
Yeah,
that scene to kind of wrap it up. But depending on how Doctor Doom even is able to get there, because we saw that the Council of Kangs was in that arena, and that was outside of the multiverse timelines. They were literally floating, and you can see the timelines running around around them. So I feel like he's gonna find a way and end up there, and then use his abilities, his sorcery abilities, to fucking wipe them all out and make a statement right at the beginning of Avengers, because that would then tell you, okay, this guy's he's very, very powerful. He killed the entire army of Kangs, and now the Avengers are gonna stop him. This is gonna be nuts.
You mentioned the idea of Thor being the one that killed Connor Dorian with the $5 super chat. Has a question about that. But here's the explosion real quick. Connor says, if Thor dies, then what happens to Gore the God Butcher's daughter? I wouldn't be surprised if they just kind of overshadowed.
She'll hang out with
Young Avengers.
Young
Avengers.
Here's your answer right here.
She's holding which hammer? Is she holding? She's holding
Stormbreaker, right?
No, she's holding Mjolnir.
Yeah, Mjolnir.
Yeah,
she's holding put back together Mjolnir.
Connor, I'll tell you this. This is your answer to Gore, the God Butcher's daughter.
Oh my God, I don't care. I do not. I don't care.
Anything to do with that movie.
Nobody really cares.
Damn.
Anything to do with that movie.
If we didn't see her again, I don't think anyone would
What
say,
happened to
"Wait
the
a minute, what
ghost?"
happened to her?" They'd be like, whatever. But that's what I think they're gonna do. So Phil says, they're gonna kill off Thor. I think it's gonna be he kills off the Council of Kangs to establish that he is now in charge. And I think that if you would have, it could be both. If you cast somebody else, like let's say you cast the guy from Game of Thrones, what's his name? Jaime Lannister, that actor, or you cast somebody else, another actor, right? I think you still have, I think by going with Robert Downey Jr., that completely wipes out the idea of ever, feeling bad about, oh, we never got to see Jonathan Majors Kang and nobody gives a shit anymore because now they're fully focused on Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom.
Nobody really got invested in Kang, to be honest. Nobody he wasn't
but
that big of an impact.
If you would have cast a different actor that wasn't as big as Robert Downey Jr. in terms of the MCU, then you have to kind of reestablish that character. Now it's like you can literally just insert
Well,
him
they hit
be
the
a
ground
badass.
running with
Honestly,
RDJ because of his popularity in the MCU.
You could have had another actor come in and do Doctor Doom, and it would have been just another rodeo of, okay, it's the Fantastic Four versus Doctor Doom again. Whoop-de-doo-dah day.
Yeah.
By casting Robert Downey Jr., again, as I mentioned earlier, you have the opportunity here to close out this iteration, this timeline of the MCU from with the guy who started it being the one who ends it. Because in Secret Wars, what happens is, and this has been leading up to Secret Wars by way of Captain with the Marvels, with the Incursion universe, where what is her Monica Rambeau, she winds up in another universe, right? That's part of an incursion. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, we saw an incursion happen there. These incursions are happening for a reason, so it's going to come down to at least one or two worlds being thrown together, and then what happens in wake of that. And not typically, but like in Secret Wars, I was just reading up on this because I'm gonna buy the Secret Wars book from Jonathan Hickman. Effectively what happens is Doctor Doom picks and chooses who's left of what's left on that world and claims it as Battle World, and he's now ruler over that world. And effectively he's the one left standing on top. So when you have a movie titled Avengers Doomsday and you're going to have the Avengers go up against Doctor Doom, I'd imagine the ending of that movie is going to see Doctor Doom in a very Thanos-ish kind of way be the one to be like, okay, these are the characters that are going to left that I have left. This is the world in which we have now. This is what we have. And then Secret Wars is going to be whoever's left trying to undo what Doctor Doom did. And also probably the Beyonder as well, if I had to guess, because the Beyonder plays a part in that too.
The Beyonder plays a part in that, but I could see that. Well, because the Beyonder assembles all of them, and then Dr. Doom becomes so powerful that he almost becomes as powerful as the Beyonder, and then the Beyonder's like, holy shit. Because who is it? God damn it.
Hold on
He
one
killed
second.
Dr. Doom kills it was
Thanos.
either Kang
He rips out Thanos by the spine.
but there's another
in
character
Secret Wars.
that he absorbs or he gets
Oh,
it's either Ultron or Kang, one of the two, and then he becomes extremely powerful. And
You
then,
have to make the jump from Kang to Doom feel natural. Makes sense. The thing is, they already kind of wrapped it up with Loki season 2, so
They kind of did.
I don't see them revisiting Kang at all. If they do, cool, but I doubt they're going to do it now. So
They sort of wrapped that up at the end of season 2. You're right. Like the dialogue there, it sort of said, okay, we're keeping an eye on all
effectively
the
Loki rewrote history the way he wanted it to.
Yeah.
And that kind of writes out Kang. So you know,
Secret Wars is probably going to lead into a soft reboot of the MCU, and it'll focus on the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man. I think that's what they're going to do. I think there's a chance, and I could be dead wrong, but I feel like there's a chance in Secret Wars that you may get one more shot at seeing the James Marsden, Femke Jansen's, Halle Berry X-Men.
it's possible. Yeah, I mean,
Sure,
Patrick
and
Stewart has even like said, "Oh, I'm not done." He's hinted at the fact he's coming back too.
I saw a post today that says that the X-Men, the Beast at the end of the Marvels was from Earth, the same Earth as Deadpool, Wolverine. But I was like, why? How do you know that? And the person who wrote it is the guy who writes for Cosmic Circus. So I don't believe I don't believe it, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's what they did. But still, it's like, Monica Rambeau, where is she at? Is she in 10005, or is she in a different universe altogether? We still don't know where she's at.
Yeah, with the incursions happening, it's a guessing game of who's from what world. Because Deadpool showed us that Deadpool can not only jump to 616, but he can jump back to where he was from, which is effectively Earth 10,005. Which you could make the debate that since his version of Colossus is different than the Colossus that was shown in X-Men's 1 through Days of Future Past. In theory, it could be the same, but I don't know. We won't know for sure until probably Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars. And Dwayne Jackson here with another $10 super chat.
Hey, thank you.
Get you an explosion here. Dwayne has the question, says, just curious, when the Fantastic Four comes around, we know Dr. Doom is their main enemy. Is Robert Downey Jr. going to Dr. Doom in their timeline, or will they? I think they'll keep him as their Dr. Doom. I think
he'll be Dr. Doom
Yeah, we kind of talked about this before, how we think that he is going to come from the Fantastic Four's universe and then make his way to the Sacred Timeline. And so I don't think they'll recast.
Kind of interesting, because he'll be coming from as an older gentleman. He'll be coming from the 1960s, whereas the younger Tony Stark came from the 90s.
Right.
So that's kind of, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird.
I think.
Well, they're playing Reed like an older guy too, so it makes sense that Victor Von Doom and Reed have that history too. You needed an actor with that same range of age, so it to me it makes sense that you'd cast Tony as Von Doom.
Right. I think like you said earlier about hit the ground running. I think that was probably so you don't have to go through the whole hoop-de-doo of the fucking they all went to the moon, they did this thing, they came back, whatever.
But still, getting RDJ to play Victor Von Doom, I think it already has so much more buzz, and I'm so much more intrigued at where the MCU is going to go. While if they would have announced another actor, I'd have been like, oh, cool, how are they going to introduce Dr. Doom? What are they going to do? The fact that it's RDJ already makes it more intriguing than if it was just
even if they had announced like Arnold Schwarzenegger, huge actor, whatever, he's older too, and all that
Arnold.
Shit, Arnold, I'm Dr. Doom. People would have in the Hall Ace, they would have lost their minds just because it was Arnold, but it wouldn't hit the ground run. Oh, they would have, man, because he's a big. They would have lost it. Hell, they would have fucking lost it if he was the voice in the new Terminator cartoon show. Or whatever the fuck, that they would have lost it then too.
There's a lot of excitement in Hall H.
A lot of excitement, and people, they get there. It's sort of a feeling, and I would assume that you guys feed off of each other's energy in the room.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, so they would have lost their minds for
This
that.
is the answer right here.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
This is the answer right here.
I am liking Scarlett Johansson's character.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did see that earlier
I was like,
today.
oh my
Nice.
But RJ here is saying you'll probably get a last hurrah of the old Legacy Marvel stuff and Secret Wars to the old X-Men team up one last time. Maybe Toby and Andrew one last time. That'd be sick. Okay, this kind of takes real quickly back to Deadpool and Wolverine real quick. The little montage of all behind the scenes stuff for the Fox Marvel stuff and the credits was awesome. I just got to throw that out there. That was really fun to see.
Well, we're not on that topic.
Right. I just want to throw that in there
still.
since it brought it up. But Secret Wars would probably bring all those guys together for the last time and kind of just show some of those people. And if we get to see Andrew and Toby again, that'd be great.
There was this too from Ryan Reynolds. He posted this today on social media saying, "I know why Thor was crying. I can't unknow it." So I mean, that's going to play into whatever happens. And look, there's an actual shot from that.
Interesting.
I wonder what's happening here.
I wonder if Thor and Deadpool become friends and Deadpool doesn't tell Thor that he can regenerate. And so he's just kind of messing with him and Thor's like getting all emotional and then he just
I mean, do you think they could have shot something for one of the Avengers films? You know, they were just like, okay, yeah, I'm probably not going to dress up for this shit. Let's go ahead and do this scene for the Deadpool movie and also for the Secret Wars.
I think the arm is just another actor, and I think they just probably had stock footage from when Loki died of.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, and they just said put that there. You know what I mean? Like, okay, got it.
Yeah, because he does have the old Thor, like
he had that, he had the long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I was like. Huh,
Yeah, I thought that
about
same
that.
thing. They just reused stock footage from Dark World and just put it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Stock footage from Dark World.
And so they'll work that into later on. And yeah, I think it's one of those things where he thinks he's dying. In reality, he's like, shh, it's okay. I'll be, I'll think of you. Who knows what he's gonna say?
It was good how he did it in Deadpool 2, but it did go on for a little bit too long. But it was funny.
Okay, wait. We talked about a lot of shit, a lot of crazy shit happening at San Diego Comic-Con. The one scene that we haven't talked about in Deadpool Wolverine that I wanted to ask you guys about was the fucking scene where they come walking out to the Madonna song and then he slips the mask on.
That mask on.
That was fucking out of control, dude. That was like,
I was very happy with how the mask looked. The mask looked a lot better than I expected it to, given that it's CGI. It was clearly CGI.
I have no shame in admitting this. I listened to both NSYNC and Madonna on the way home today.
Yeah, I mean, why not? That was a perfect song, though. Perfect song.
Yes.
It's like
What do you say that for special occasions?
This actually brings up another nitpick I have too. We've seen a lot of good variations among other characters. Like, there's Defender Strange, there's Prime Strange, there's Evil Strange from that one universe, there's Toby, Andrew, and Tom, there's Alligator Loki, regular Loki, boastful Loki. We've seen a lot of variation amongst variants. One of my nitpicks with Deadpool and Wolverine was when they pulled out the Deadpool core. There was some nice variation. There's Lady Deadpool, Cowboy Deadpool, Kid Pool, Baby Pool,
Deadpool 2099.
We saw those. But a lot of them looked a lot like fucking Deadpool. And I was like,
there were some in there that looked a little bit different. I think there was one.
But he's right. There was a bunch in there.
They had Welsh Pool.
But there was a bunch that just looked like Deadpool.
Yeah. But
they had Matthew McConaughey as Cowboy Pool.
Was that for sure Matthew McConaughey?
That was Matthew McConaughey.
Okay. Wow. Cool. That's dope. I like that.
That was hilarious, actually.
But
and it was actually both Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's two kids that were Kid and Baby Pool.
Yes, and Blake Lively herself was Lady Pool, Lady Deadpool, which was
pretty
fun.
So it had to be either her or Miranda Baccarin. It was one or the other. So the fact that it's his wife in real life just makes all the more sense.
I don't mean this with any sort of malice, but I'm very much glad that it wasn't Taylor Swift who was Lady Deadpool.
Oh sure,
I am very glad that it wasn't her.
I'm more shocked she didn't show up as Dazzler.
Right?
Yeah.
I was really shocked.
But I don't know where they would. I don't know where they would have put her.
Probably on Cassandra.
They could have put her anywhere, and it just would have worked out. But when he put the mask on, I remember watching that scene. I was like, yeah. I couldn't wait to see it. And then what I loved so much was that not only did he wear the mask, But they were like, no, you're going to fucking wear this mask all the way through this last act until we get done with the fighting. And I loved how he kept it on. I thought after he jumped out of the bus,
Well,
I thought he would just take it off. But
the
he
narrative
didn't.
reason why he's like, oh, you wear your only when I'm killing. Okay.
I love that response. Killing mostly. He's like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
That was so good.
And like, I like the way that sequence went, even though it was like a side scroller. But I would have loved something a little bit more. I wouldn't say John Wick or Zack Snyder, but I would have liked something a little bit more extravagant. Not to say it was bad. It's just, you know, I feel like doing it in a side scrolling kind of way was just like, okay, this is a choice. I don't hate it, but I'm not necessarily in love with it.
But that was the big fight.
Well, it
at the
didn't
end of the
really
movie.
accomplish anything
That was
either.
the climax fight.
Well,
You know, we got
also
to see
with
them
that,
go.
considering the fact there were so many people, like to Phil's point, there was a lot of people who looked just like the regular Deadpool. There was one part of it where I thought there was a Deadpool laying on the ground, and I thought that was our main Deadpool, and I thought it was meant for comedic effect, and then the regular Deadpool comes from the left side. It kind of got lost.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, well, there he is. So not necessarily the most cohesively filmed action scene, but it was still fun.
The gray Deadpool never showed up either. I was like, oh.
That was actually Deadpool from Canada. He had the Canadian leaf on his
emblem
really? Somewhere. Yeah. But I'm right there with you. I would have preferred to see like a gray and black Deadpool suit like they kind of did in the second movie. I'm honestly kind of shocked they didn't use Gwenpool.
Right.
But I feel like
heard a lot of rumors about that.
I feel like the only reason that probably didn't happen is because Gwen Stacy is a Spider-Man character by association.
Yes.
So
and that's a Sony character, really.
Exactly.
But that would have been cool. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
But overall, though, like I love the scene. I liked it.
Also, the fact that Hugh Jackman was still like, you could still see the expression and emotion on his face when he was about to sacrifice himself, even when he had the mask over top his face. Like it was still well performed, and like the mask didn't obscure that or anything. That's what I was really concerned about, is if they were going to try to have a serious moment, was it going to be conveyed with the mask? And it was.
That's why I've always liked Deadpool and now, you know, Wolverine with the wide eyes and shit. Because I mean, you can really even with CG, you can give him more emotional, because they're like, oh no, you got to have the eyes, because you can really tell the emotion through the eyes or whatever, eyes of the soul, whatever. And I was like, man, I'd love to, going forward. I mean, if they did a lot more character, Batman, whatever, just
funny.
do the same thing.
This movie continues a Deadpool tradition. In each Deadpool movie, there's always a Batman reference. Because in Deadpool 1, he mentions Batman and Robin. In Deadpool 2, when he's fighting Cable, he says, I'm Batman. And then in Deadpool 3 at the end, when he talks about Wolverine's mask, he's like, yeah, it's like Batman, except he can move his neck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did.
There is a Batman reference in every single Deadpool movie, so I'm convinced now that Ryan Reynolds is a fan of Batman.
He's also like, what's the wind resistance on those things?
On those blowjob handles,
blowjob handles with your suit. No one anyone with a real friend wouldn't let their friend walk out like they're dressed for the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, that was good. That was
like fucking funny. Oh my god!
I also thought it was really cool how Wolverine, when he was talking to X-23, is like, they asked me to be in the suit to be like kind of part of the team, like kind of showing that outsider mentality that Logan has and still trying to like being a part of something. Again, the frustrating thing with my theater is that it was really quiet. So there's a lot of like the, backstory of Wolverine that I didn't quite get just because the audio was so freaking poor in that theater. But real quick, another super chat from Dwayne Jackson. Let's do a Doomsday Explosion for you. Brian, was that your dog's? Oh my gosh.
B.
Dog was actually. Genuinely.
No, it wasn't. And to be honest with you, I mean, it was funny at first, but like 3 times of seeing the dog, I was like, okay. It was cool, but just like too much, I think. With the dog. The only other thing that I agree with Andre about, like, the Wolverine suit was the traps, like without the shoulder pieces or whatever, which I'm we talked about, is probably for mobility, for Hugh to like move around or whatever. But when you take those off, the traps are higher.
They are,
and so it just didn't look quite right, because his his delts were here, but then his traps were way the fuck up here, and I was like, man, it looks kind of weird in some shots. But I mean, overall, I really dug the outfit. I thought it was really good. I thought it really worked, and I like that it was yellow. Because I mean, it was a stark contrast, from the red Deadpool and all that. So
yes, absolutely. Real quick, we got a
hey,
Marvel super chat real quick.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
What's
Fuck
that?
yeah. I want more Soldier Boy. I want a show
Oh
about Soldier
yeah,
Boy.
dude.
When they announced this, I was
Definitely.
like, hell fucking yes.
And when they announced it, I was like, he is not being Batman in the DCU.
Yeah, probably not, but I was like, dude, more Soldier Boy. I'm gonna get him in the last season of The Boys, and I'm gonna get his own show. Hell yeah, dude! He was my favorite character. He was amazing. Bill Cosby is America's dad.
America's,
Oh my
oh
gosh.
god, that was horrible.
Cause.
That didn't age well.
Oh,
He's
man.
like, he was like the cause. He goes, oh man, he can make some strong drinks.
The cause. Oh god.
Oh gosh. Yeah, thanks so much for the super chat, Connor. We appreciate it.
Nice.
I think Phil had some stuff out in the back. He'll be back here in a second. But yeah, no, like as I said in the title, or as I typed in the title of this episode of the podcast, like I feel like this was the most impactful weekend the MCU has had in quite some time. With the
Well, I mean, it
success of
coincided
Deadpool,
with the release of the film, you know.
Yep.
So I mean, it was just
Which
sort of
is
like
making a ton of
perfect
money.
storm, you know, yeah.
yeah, it's the biggest opening weekend for an R-rated film ever. It's the 8th biggest opening weekend of all time.
What's up,
And there he is.
Uh-oh.
There he is. It's here.
Oh, hello. How are we all doing today? So who's seen my latest movie? How many of you fuck nuggets have seen my movie? Okay, cool. Here we go. Here we fucking go. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Deadpool and Wolverine, bitches. We're back. We've got Hugh in the suit. What more can I say? Oh, wait a minute. You guys have already been talking about the movie, haven't you?
A little bit. A little bit.
Just
Little bit.
tad. Just a tad.
So I'm kind of late, right? I'm kind of like, you know, Blade late to the MCU. Yeah, that makes kind of
Just
some sense.
about 25 years, yeah, or 20 years. Yeah.
Oh, you know, 5 years too late considering they announced the movie in 2019, and Mahershala is still waiting to get behind the fucking camera. Oh my god! But hey, in the
Poor
meantime,
man, poor man.
we got our man Wesley back, didn't we? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be funny if they got him back for that. If they could have him be like another character in the Blade movie with Mahershala Ali, like I wonder if he'd be down for that. But
You know, it'd be even funnier if you were in the movie and you got stabbed by Wolverine.
I'd be down for. I'd sign up for that.
I'm
I'd
sure
sign
you
up to
would.
be stabbed by Wolverine.
I know you
Why
would.
the hell not?
I know you would, you pretty little bitch. You. I know you would.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Anyway, who wants a free autograph?
I mean, yeah.
Just
duh.
kidding. You all have to pay $10.
Oh, is that how much it was?
Bitch, I didn't ask you. Well, yeah, I did. I guess I did. No. This movie was so much fun. Let me tell you something, boys. Let me tell you something. Do you have any idea how much it costs to get Chris Evans back behind the fucking camera to play Johnny Storm? Oh my god, that man cost a pretty penny. There's a reason
third of the
why
budget, wasn't
he
it?
is not my favorite Chris. No, it's not Pratt either. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's the big guy with the hammer.
Of course it is. Of course it is. It's the arms, isn't it?
It might be the arms. It might be the hammer. The hammer might be going into places you don't want to know.
I don't even want to know. I don't want to know how that would
Want
work.
to know why? Because pegging isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney.
That was another good line. And I also loved the blind lady, his friend, where they're just like they know all
Her
the
name's
code words.
Al. Put some fucking
All right.
respect on that name, child.
You got it.
Damn right, I got it. I get everything I want. I'm fucking.
You want to
Deadpool.
make a snowman? Yes.
But I can't. That was the
But I
one thing. The one thing Feige said was off limits was cocaine. Do you have any idea how frustrating it was to have cocaine in my first two movies, but not in this one? Because all the damn kids that were going to sneak into my movie to begin with, they couldn't see cocaine. That was a thing Kevin Feige said, nope, not happening. Not with this one. And I'm just like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me there's no cocaine in the void? What the fuck kind of logic is that?
Well, Phil,
devoid.
you mentioned something that actually crossed my mind when thinking about this film is that it was
Yes.
clear that everyone involved had
Yes.
so much fun making it.
Yes.
It was very clear. And that makes
Yes.
it such an awesome time at the theater.
Go on. Continue.
That's it.
Okay, I'll
Oh,
stop
that
talking.
was it.
No, I'm not going to stop talking. I'm never going to stop talking. Guess what? You want to know when the next time you'll see me is? I ain't going to tell you. It's one of two Avengers movies, I'll say that much.
Probably.
Question
Wouldn't be
is,
surprised.
which one?
Secret Wars, I'd imagine.
Probably. No.
Maybe.
I would say Secret Wars or at the end of Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll tell you something else. Hugh's coming back because he's playing the damn role till he's 90.
Until he's 90. And what do you think about this? This is a great poster. That was
Oh, that was so much fun. Let me tell you, getting to open our movie to Sync was an absolute blast. I had so much fun using old Wolvie's skeleton to just waste those TVA fucks. It was so much fun. Oh my goodness.
I love that was also a good payoff of when Deadpool's talking to Celine Dion. He's like, I should have asked NSYNC.
It was great. You know, for a threequel, which, let's be real, I never expected to get a threequel. Hell, I never even expected to get a first movie. That's why we had to leak our test footage for the first one 4 years prior to the fact. That's how we ended up getting a movie in the first place. Thanks, Ryan. And I don't mean you, the guy next to me. No, I mean Ryan Reynolds, the cute one.
That was my idea.
Yeah, he fully admitted that he had a part in leaking it.
What I loved was when they're like, how do we stop Cassandra Nova? He's like, I know, look, I know Magneto's dead, but we're going to get his helmet. She already melted it. Fuck!
Yeah.
Because that's something that every nerd would have thought of. Like, well, why don't they just use his helmet?
Yeah.
She melted it. Like,
yeah.
Of course she did.
There was one mutant I wanted to get in that movie, and it was not Magneto. It was Nightcrawler. We wanted Nightcrawler. We just couldn't afford it.
Oh, yeah.
that would be cool.
I'm kidding. We had Azazel. Azazel worked out just fine. No, we
was
wanted.
there,
But
we-
Azazel, like he disappeared, but then reappeared right next to where he was.
He's just moving around. He's like,
I was
He
like-
did. He just kind of appeared back in the same
was like-
spot.
I was like, okay.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
what
Are
did
you
that
questioning
do?
the editing of our movie?
No, just the special effects.
Listen up, fuckface. Why don't you spend 9 months working on special effects, then release a movie? How about them apples, huh? Just kidding. still love you.
Maybe.
But overall,
No.
though, dude, Deadpool and Wolverine, absolutely phenomenal movie.
Knocked it out of the park, honestly. It was the
can't see him
funnest
right
I've
now.
had.
But I've got
The funnest
invisible
time I've
claws
had.
coming out of my hands.
Dude, With the
I like
claws
when he
on,
put
that
his
was
claws
bad.
on him,
Yeah,
and then he got him
Yes.
stuck, and he couldn't pull it out of the one guy.
Yeah. He just had to let it go. Like, ugh.
Man, I'm trying to think of the last time I had that much fun at an MCU movie, and it's been some
It
time.
was everything I
Well,
could have asked for, dude.
I'm
Spider-Man,
glad-
Everything.
right?
No
I'm
Way
glad
Home,
it was
yeah.
my movie you guys had fun at. That makes me so happy.
Yes, it
Ever
made
so
us
happy.
Absolutely.
grin from ear to ear.
Really?
All the right reasons. Yes.
Coming from you, that's saying a lot because you don't really smile too much.
It had me smiling from ass cheek to ass cheek. Let's put it that way.
That
it was
sounds
that
excellent.
good. I was like, Woo!
Excellent.
Man, that,
And any
That's
gas
a
you
little
must
more-
have left out was the best gas ever, I bet.
Ugh. All that popcorn.
Anyway.
But no, it was
no.
This has been
badass.
fun. I'll see you all next time for Avengers. Maybe we'll see. Take care. Toodles, bitches.
See you, Phil Pool.
But
Oh,
overall,
man.
dude, this movie was badass. I loved it. It was a lot of fun, like you were saying, a lot of action. I think I had a really good story, and I think it was really cool. So let's do this. Now that we've already claimed that this movie is supremely badass, we all had a little bit of a something that we didn't like about it. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Good dump.
Good dump.
what?
That's a good dump.
Good dump.
Best dump
Um,
ever.
So I would say this. I gave it a 9 out of 10 only because I wanted there to be a bigger payoff at the end of some kind of connection to the greater
regular-
storyline.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I was like, well, they haven't really established their greater storyline yet because they're still trying to redo it. So I kind of get that. And then when Wolverine lost his sleeves, he just sort of like after they fought, he's laying there and they're just off of him. I don't remember seeing them get ripped off, which I was like, okay.
I think it was more of a blink and you miss it moment.
It was
maybe.
probably just CG not in that shot. They may have forgotten.
I don't know. and that's how those are all small things. That's, you know.
Yeah, everything is a nitpick.
Well, but here's the
Yeah.
thing is that like he had Cable's time traveling machine,
Yeah,
but how did he travel to Earth 616, the sacred timeline?
Well, in
That's what I'm
fairness, at the end of Deadpool 2, it showed him showing different timelines. So
Yeah,
that
you know what?
doesn't
They did.
necessarily mean different universes too. So
Yeah.
that kind of where my logic went with it. I mean,
Yeah, because he went to he shot himself, writing the Green Lantern or
Yep.
reading the script. So yeah,
Yep.
he was jumping around. So yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
universe
My main problems, again, like Andre said, these are nitpicks. I Cassandra Nova was a decent villain, and Paradox was kind of meh. And so that
One note.
the villains were just not really that big of a deal. I mean, the rest of the movie made up for the fact that they were just kind of like subpar for me.
Yeah, the TVA wasn't
And-
really villains; they were just there for context.
Right.
I mean, he wiped out their entire army. I felt like. I was
Right.
like, dude,
So
I don't think
that
he'd be
part,
no more employees.
yeah, that part was kind of weak. And then some small moments of CGI. Like I mentioned, Wolverine jumping out of the bus and like kind of being an obviously CGI model there. But like, again, very much nitpicks. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that really bothered me all that much. Nothing really stood out that badly, but maybe some narrative things that could have been tightened down. But again, I'll just praise the fact. Oh, also, yeah, I mentioned earlier, should have played Evanescence when Elektra came on screen. That's the only thing that I would say as a note. Should have had that playing when she took Deadpool down. But those are my main flaws, if you will, of the movie.
Okay.
Whoever
Yeah,
wants to go first.
Give it
Phil,
an
Ryan.
8.5 out of 10. The whole Gambit deal didn't necessarily work for me, but I think that was also, again, by design.
yeah.
Maybe there could have been a little bit more variation among the Deadpool variants, but other than that, yeah, solid 8.5 out of 10. Maybe a 9 if I'm feeling really generous. I got to watch it one more time, but as it stands right now, 8.5 out of 10. But I believe I slotted it like number 4 on my MCU ranking list.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be up there, just because of how
It's
fun it
it's
was.
an all timer. It's one of the best movies Marvel's done in quite some time.
Yes.
Easily.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
kind
it
of where
is.
I'm at with it. Yeah.
Okay. Ryan?
My biggest nitpick is just the end. I just didn't like the they were holding on to the things or whatever the fuck, and that was it. That was the thing, and I was just like, okay.
Mhm.
I mean, everything else was great. That was just kind of boring to me.
It kind of had that like Guardians of the Galaxy feel to it at the end.
Yeah.
How, they were all holding hands, and
Mhm.
that's how they kind of came together as a team, because they all cared for one another. But I mean, when you look at the silver lining, was that now you got Wolverine coming from where he started to where he is now, where he's literally sacrificing himself to help his friend and to do the right thing, even though he lives,
Mhm.
of course.
Mm.
But to me, even if they fought Cassandra Nova, they couldn't have beaten her unless they did it the way they did earlier with putting.
They would have to
helmet on her head.
outsmart her again.
Yeah, again. And so it was like, and I thought the scene played out so well, and I even like the scene where she was in Wolverine's mind.
Or they went and got Charles, and they were like, "Charles, here's your sister. Fuck her up." He's like, "Hold my beer." So he has the yellow.
I
chair.
even loved when she said, there was a sorcerer that came through here once. I killed him, but he left his ring, and I was like, dude, badass.
Yeah, no,
I
they were
even love
great.
that.
Very creative with how to use what would have come out before it.
Yes, very
especially-
clever.
Yeah, very clever. And I wish that every Marvel movie would sort of incorporate that. In their stuff going forward, just give that cohesion, give that I want to say synchronicity or whatever. Just sort of like they're all part of the same fucking universe and shit. Now fucking Disney owns it all, except for what Sony owns. But just have somebody that knows what the fuck fans want to see and put that shit in there and make
Put
sense.
it out there. This is what all fans want. A lot of fans wanted to see, and they nailed it.
Yeah.
Question here, though, from Dwayne Jackson about this
Go ahead.
movie. And I mentioned earlier that this had a fantastic opening weekend, best opening weekend for an R-rated film, 8th best opening weekend of all time, I think for Marvel anyway, or all time. I can't remember the exact number. But Dwayne Jackson asked the billion-dollar question, do you think it will hit the billion-dollar mark? I think with the opening weekend that it had,
Where's it?
It already made close to half in its opening weekend.
Yeah.
$438
They
million
said by week
worldwide.
2 it should hit.
I'd be shocked if it didn't. Like, it would have to have a dramatic drop-off in order for it to not make it, and I don't see that happening.
Neither do I.
Well, Phil's going to go see it for his third time. You got a lot of people out there that are going for repeat viewings, and that's how you make your money, is repeat viewings.
Yes.
A lot of films that even if they're good, if they don't have that appeal to get people back out to the theater to see it again and multiple times, take their friends, whatever it is, then they don't get that $1 billion mark or whatever the fuck it is. Or
Well,
have
there's that second wave of viewership too, of people who hear from people that saw it first that were maybe skeptical. They hear from people, oh, it's fantastic. Then they go, and then the person that goes with them is seeing it for the second time.
And this is fresh off the heels of the San Diego Comic-Con as well.
Correct,
so I mean, there's still that hype, there's still that energy from
yeah.
that, and that's going to carry out. Because yes, the Calverine. He was amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
Nice motorcycle.
Yeah, honestly.
And then that motorcycle was the same one that I heard, at least, that was the same motorcycle from I think it was it X2 or X1 when he steals Cyclops' motorcycle.
Oh, I don't know that.
That's what I read somewhere. Like, yeah, that was the same motorcycle. I'd have to double check that and fact check that, but
Yeah, because I can't just believe you off rip.
You should believe anything I say.
No, don't fact check anything. Believe
Don't
everything
fact
here
check
on the
anything.
internet. Everything we read on the Yahoo News, everything. Yes.
Everything comes back here for
Facts.
for facts.
And, yeah, especially Facebook. Yes.
I think that the MC did a good job at reinvigorating the hype for Captain America, for the Thunderbolts, for Fantastic Four.
With the trailers that we got, I think this trailer showed, the Captain America movie is going to be pretty action packed, and that's what people want to see. Is fucking action. Let's go.
And we talked, what was it, 5 months ago when we were talking about this movie, Deadpool and Wolverine. We talked about how it was Disney knew they needed to hit the nail on the head with this movie. They needed this to be an absolute hit, and it ended up being just that for them. And it's like you guys said, with San Diego Comic-Con, Robert Downey Jr.'s announcement, Deadpool and Wolverine, it feels like the MCU has some new life. Now, with that being said, there are some exciting things. That's the thing too. Is
long legs.
Well, the interesting thing that I want to think about.
I see what you did there.
The interesting thing that I want to figure out is, I want to know if Disney learns the right lessons from Deadpool and Wolverine.
I know.
I want to know if they figure out.
Marvels 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Well, because Deadpool and Wolverine, that's a special movie that you can do a lot of fun things with because of the fact Hugh Jackman's back. There was a multiversal story. It's Deadpool as well. There's a lot of fun things you can do with it, but you can't do those same things with other Marvel films to an extent. So I wonder if they're going to learn the wrong or the right lessons from it. And, people are saying, they just got to make good movies. And that's the thing. They recognize that they did a good job with Deadpool in this movie and representing Deadpool as he is, the reasons why people love Deadpool. Now find those same things that people love about the other characters and exploit that for future movies. And so, again, if Disney learns the right lessons, then the MCU's back on track. But I'm not going to jump on here and say, oh, the MCU's back.
I don't think it was ever gone. I don't even think it was ever dead either.
I think it was confidence waning. I think that's what I would say.
Oh, sure. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
When you have
financially, they were a monster. Yeah.
When you have two flops, it's easy to be like, okay, we need to kind of course correct here a little bit. But waning interest, I can understand that. I'm not going to necessarily agree or disagree with it because, again, Marvel is a brand. They are their own brand. People see that and they see, more often than not, from a general perspective, they think quality. I mean, granted, Quantum Mania,
or at least a fun
Marvels, a fun time at the very, very least, right? Marvel's made stinkers. There's no doubt about that, and people collectively kind of agree on what a lot of those stinkers are. People aren't too hot on Thor: The Dark World. People, kind of wane when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, despite that movie making a ton of money. Ask anyone on the street; they will tell you Guardians 1 or 3 is probably the preferred watch. Then you get to, fucking Thor: Love and Thunder. That really is when I think people really started going, okay, this shit is getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you get to Ant-Man Quantumania, and people are like, what the fuck is this? This is all just CGI nonsense.
And then the Eternals.
Eternals was all... that year was a tough year because you had 4 movies in the same calendar year in a 6-month time span from July to December. Eternals came out
right
after.
Around there.
No. Doctor Strange was after. Doctor Strange.
And that was good. They made a lot of money from that one, right?
Doctor Strange was May 6th, 22. No Way Home was December of 21, and they piggybacked.
Those
right
two
off
were really good.
Exactly,
Those two were really good.
But
but again, that was the other Toby and Andrew.
Well, Doctor Strange was good. And
Doctor Strange was okay, not as good as
America Chavez. I thought that was cool. The Illuminati could have been better, but it was still cool. Yeah. So I mean, I thought those 2 films were good films.
The Marvels came out.
Honestly, Eternals' biggest detriment was having the non-luxury of coming out a month before Spider-Man.
Yeah,
people literally went to that and went, okay, I guess we'll watch this before we watch Spider-Man. That's really the unfortunate part
But
about that movie.
it didn't have, at the time at least, it didn't have much of a payoff. Everybody was kind of like,
Not
what are we doing?
particularly, no.
Like, what was the point of this movie? Like, why did I go see it for? Now
Mm-hmm.
it will reconnect, as we know from the Celestial. But still, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, in February, Captain America: Brave New World comes out. I think that's actually really smart, given you have a, Captain America who's a person of color in the month of Black History Month.
Mhm.
That synergy, I think, is going to work in a way it did for Black Panther to some extent. So
Makes
I think that's going to work out in its favor too, and the fact that it does look like a really solid movie in its own right too. Like I can't see that movie being a bomb. I can maybe see it maybe not hitting
Underperforming.
maybe underperforming, maybe, but
It's got a lot
underperforming.
going for it. The only way that it won't do really good numbers is if the actual movie itself is not that good.
Sure,
If it just doesn't really deliver to the audience, it won't have legs. It'll be
Right.
okay. It'll, people, regardless of whatever month it comes out in, if it's not a good story, people aren't going to resonate with it. They're not going to care. They're gonna be like, all right, fuck it. Let's
hear
wait
you.
for RDJ.
Right.
Let's wait for
I hear you,
Fantastic Four.
but these are the films that are going to set up those films, are the big tentpole, the Avengers films. And I think that the amount of reshoots and rewrites and the amount of work they put back into this movie, I think it's going to pay off, because I think that
Flash had a lot of reshoots.
what's
That
that?
didn't pay off.
different beast.
Flash.
Yeah, that's
Completely
yeah.
different
You're talking about
That's- I'm
WB.
sorry, but you
and
start going in and you
Walter
start fucking with-
Hamada.
Oh yeah, you start going into any movie and you just do massive reshoots. That just automatically means that something's not jiving.
It increases the possibility of a movie just being
Yeah.
a stinker.
Well, we
regardless.
saw what happened to Walter Hamada.
Hey,
okay,
bye.
So he bye bye, and now we have to look forward to is Avengers Doomsday.
That's a pretty cool edit.
That's
actually.
clever. That's clever. Yeah.
I wonder though, real quick. I wonder if when they announced that, if James Gunn was like, "You son of a bitch, you took the fucking name." Look, that could easily have been Justice League Doomsday.
Or Superman Doomsday.
Yeah, and now you're like,
Yeah.
"You son of a bitch, you took the name Doomsday." You couldn't have done it like Avengers Doom.
I mean, in fairness, there is a comic run titled Avengers Doomsday. Or
I know,
Dr.
but
Doom.
you know what I mean, though.
There is
Yeah, but
precedent for
Doomsday
that.
came out before Doomsday. Doomsday is a main. It's been in even before DC
But you know
came up
what?
with that character.
You know what though?
Yeah.
Again, Marvel did it first. They're like, you know what? Fuck
Yeah,
you.
they're-
We did. Or like how at DC Fandom, how they were like, oh, multiverse, and
Yeah.
then the MCU was like, oh, by the way, we're delivering you the multiverse now, and they just
And they're like,
did
oh
it.
my god,
They're
look
like,
what
"No,
MCU is doing.
it was supposed to be the Flash. When's that coming out? Oh, 2 more years. No, it was just,
We have more reshoots. Michael Keaton come back.
what about Aquaman 2? No.
You bring up something interesting though with Michael Keaton. Like, it's such an interesting comparison between bringing Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine for Deadpool and Wolverine and bringing back Michael Keaton as Batman for the Flash, and how those two things, again, two different beasts, two different situations, but how each studio handled that.
Mhm.
And obviously Marvel won in that situation.
Well, number one,
comparatively.
Hugh's younger, but he has more movies under his
Yes.
belt as that character. And
That's
Michael fucking left the role because of fucking creative differences
Tim
with
Burton.
Tim
Yeah.
Burton, and so that's why they.
I mean,
went,
can you
different ways.
imagine if we would have gotten what Walter Hamada was planning, that we were
Oh,
going to
that would have been horrible.
a Keaton
That would've
Batman.
been
Like
horrible.
his idea was like, yeah, we're going to have this multiversal Justice League with Batgirl and Keaton's Batman,
Supergirl.
and Aquaman, Supergirl. Like I'm sorry, like
I just don't think it would have worked how they.
I
were
don't think it would
pitching
have worked, man. I think it would have came across as just childish. Just
It
kinda
would have
like,
looked real CW for the big screen.
Yes.
Shazam. And then somehow Black Adam was supposed to fit in there, and I don't know how that was going to work. But
He was going to be the head, the leader.
well. If he would,
He was going to be the Rock.
Did you don't notice the diss at Black Adam and Deadpool and Wolverine? How what was it? The power in the Marvel universe is about to change. Like
Yes,
he
yes,
said that. I was like,
yes.
oh my
Yes,
gosh,
yes.
that's hilarious.
It was great.
Well, I
But
mean,
no,
God,
I mean,
that was funny
pretty
because,
funny.
And the reason that makes it so funny is because he kept fucking hammering that shit. You know, like the power, you know, the whatever the fuck in the DC universe is about to change or whatever. And I was just like, dude, I'm fucking tired of it. Either fucking put up or shut up. We saw the movie and here we are. So
one last little quick insight from Deadpool and Wolverine. Just here it is. It looks like in total, Deadpool Wolverine uses the word fuck 118 times.
No surprise.
It is a new franchise record, with the second film only having 90 fuck bombs or F bombs.
Well, Dawson's really upset because he had to wear his earmuffs for like a lot of the movie.
Language and violence are not
Language
things I have problems with in movies. I have no problem
like
with
Captain
those.
America.
There'd be no way. I would destroy the movie.
I thought it was the other one. I thought he said that's a cold hard fact, but it wasn't. Okay.
It's at the end of that clip, but it takes a while to get to it.
Yeah, you can take a while. It's like it's got to build up. It's got to swell.
Again, Deadpool and Wolverine was absolutely hilarious. A super fun time. I'm actually, for the first time in a while, I'm intrigued and excited to see what they do from here on out with Marvel. Do they learn the right lessons? Do they not? And we'll see if they do. But
Thunderbolts follows Captain America.
Correct. And then Fantastic Four in July.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so got a lot of.
I think Fantastic Four has the most. That'll probably make more money.
I love the fact that it takes place in a separate universe. I think that is like the best fucking idea. I was like, dude, I love it. I love that it's in a different universe.
Let it do its own thing, not held back by what came before.
Because then, like, how would you introduce what? All of a sudden now we go back in time to the 60s and like, oh, they did this and they were lost in the void or whatever. Its own universe.
It's a good creative decision.
Yes.
Very good creative decision. But with that, we are now over the 2-hour mark. We usually like to cut it off here.
Definitely.
We do have a little bit of announcement here at the end of the show. And first and foremost, before we get into that, I first off want to say a big thank you to all the people who have watched this show for what has been like 3 years, however long it's been going on.
3 years. We've been doing it since 2019, 18, 19?
No, not 2018. Maybe 2019.
2019.
Like
5 years.
Freak. Holy
5 years.
cow, 5 years. Jeez,
5 years.
I underestimated that. 185 total episodes, maybe some numbers lost here and there just because we transitioned it from different channels and stuff. But the announcement we have is that so everybody knows I'm going to be moving here in the next week, actually. And there's a lot of different stuff happening, a lot of changes going on. And so with that, we've made the decision that this is the last episode of the 4Nerds. Again, it's been an incredible blast doing this show. And again, all you guys, give me off full screen.
I'm sorry. What the fuck?
I even had the music going for you.
That was funny. That was actually funny.
I ruined it.
That was actually funny.
That was pure cinema.
But yes, we have made the decision that this is the last episode. It's just a lot of things going on to where it just wouldn't be functional for me, and just a couple different situations going on. It's just, but again, we do really appreciate.
Oh my God, Ryan,
stop.
Well, you gotta quit.
We do really appreciate all the people who have tuned in over the years, all the different guests we've had. Because at first, when the show started, it was a new guest every week type of show because we were operating on the early days during COVID. You know, people like Richard Citrone a couple of times. We even had Ray Porter on here. Damon Carl, we got to talk to him. I think we also had Sam Benjamin and a bunch of different.
We got a lot of really good people over the years, and a lot of great memories, and it's just been a fantastic ride. You know, I mean, you know, we've had different hosts, you know, more, you know, better than Andre than most, but you know, I mean, it's all good. But no, we appreciate everybody that's ever been a part of the show, on the show, you know, Allie, you know, Fatal, any, you know, who else?
Sean.
Yes, Sean, Brad, Dave Pena, he's been on here a couple times.
Yeah.
Chris Wong.
We've had so many people.
Yeah, pretty much everybody that we knew that was associate. Meg, Wonder Meg, you know, and
Anthony,
Andy, my editor.
Yes,
Andy,
had him on here too, and just all these different people. And there's definitely a lot of people that we haven't mentioned, just not because of Mouse or anything, just because there's so many to mention.
Yeah, we didn't write everything down beforehand.
Yeah, it's again, it's been a fun ride. I've loved, talking with my friends, you guys, every week about the fun stuff that we love. And, I always am down to talk to people about this fun stuff. It's just, again, not something that's going to be viable for me for the next quite a bit. But yeah, seriously, guys, everyone who has watched, everyone who has supported, everyone who has contributed in some way or fashion, seriously, thank you. Because I started this channel at first as the Nerdy in Many Ways channel back in, I want to say late 2018, and then eventually transitioned to the 4Nerds network. And what was fun is, what really interesting is that I started this channel because I want to talk about all the fun stuff that I didn't really feel like I got to talk to enough people about outside of family. And then COVID hit, and all of a sudden that was the main way I could talk to people. That's the main way I could, engage with people. That way I met, Ryan and I were some of the original founders of the show. And then of course Andre came along, and then Phil and everyone else in between. And it kind of came at a perfect time. And I think it has run the perfect amount of time, in my opinion, but unfortunately all good things must come to an end. But I want to close out by having us all kind of say maybe a highlight for us each on the show. But for me, the main highlight, again, has just been meeting so many people, talking to friends about all this fun stuff. And again, during COVID, when nobody's really able to socialize much at all outside the internet, like it really provided a way to, engage and interact and just meet all sorts of really interesting people, learn different perspectives, different ways people look at the world and look at entertainment. And yeah, those have been some, obviously aside from talking to just many incredible guests, it's just been an incredible ride. But that's my main highlight, is just the people that we met while doing this. But,
dude, I can't take you seriously in that hat.
You just had to use that one more time.
oh my gosh.
One more time. He's the only one.
Andre, let us know a highlight for you about this show.
I think, one of the highlights for me was, obviously getting to know all you guys, maybe becoming friends with you guys, and even the people that were on the show in the past,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. And like Syl was on the show, Zod was on the show, the journey that we took, just building this show and developing it into what it is now. I think that, when I first met you guys, I was going through a really, really shitty time in my life. And I think that, there was a lot of factors that helped me through that. This was one of them. This was one of the factors that really, really helped me get back to where I needed to be at and made me a better person as well, because of all the friendships and celebrities we got to meet and all that. It was just a lot of fun. And so this is definitely has a very warm place in my heart. This show, the 4Nerds.
Absolutely. Ryan, how about you?
I'll go last.
You want to go last?
Founders,
Okay,
yeah. So go ahead and let Phil.
Makes sense. Bookmark it. Phil, how about you?
I think one thing for me was probably just the invitation to be the latest and probably last of the four. That to me was pretty insightful. I know we always haven't all agreed on certain things from time to time, but at the end of the day, I think we all try to talk it out sometimes, more often than not, usually. Either way, we despite the fact we may disagree on certain things, at the end of the day, I don't think I harbor, or any of us for that matter, harbor any kind of animosity towards any one of us. But, just being asked to be that fourth chair after being the unofficial fifth nerd for a while was pretty sentimental to me. And even probably also Dawson getting to talk about Rebel Moon, or Andre and I reminiscing about Full Circle, or even the weekend after Full Circle, and even now, getting to talk about San Diego, all of this stuff has just been pretty cool nonetheless. But to Dawson's point, we've all got a lot of stuff going on, and I feel like this is a good point to put a pin in it for now. Who knows? We might come back and do it Secret Avengers, Secret War style somewhere down the line. Maybe, I don't know.
I'll be the new Phil.
But
God,
really, it was an honor serving with you guys on this show. That was definitely the probably the biggest highlight for me personally.
I know Ryan's gonna go next, but
go ahead.
I just want to say, it was also a thing where, kind of what Phil was saying when he's saying that when he was asked to be one of the 4 nerds, I was in the same situation. I was asked to be one of the 4 Nerds and to replace another. And I remember thinking, I was like, dude, that was, hey, Alejandro, what's up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
we were
was
there for
awesome.
that. And that was, I was super excited about it because it was just something that I really, really wanted to do. So yeah, I could definitely understand that feeling because it was really cool. But let's end things with Ryan.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, when we came up with this show, the format, everything back in the day, it was
And the name was your idea, actually.
I wanted to whip it out.
No, it was. And we had such a great time, and Anthony's here. Yo, what's up, bro? Dawson's that was awesome. We did that right during the show. I was trying so hard to not, kind of draw attention to myself while I was making it. And I wanted to do something with like, Boys to Men, and all that for today, but I just didn't get a chance to do so. But yeah, no, I mean, dude, everybody here who has been on the show, who's been on the panels, it's always been a fantastic experience for me. I come here every week just to sort of like, just interact with the people in the chat, interact with you guys, on screen, and just kind of nerd out for a little bit, and talk about, the things that we like, the things that we don't like, everyone in the show has ranted about something. Everyone on the show has laughed about something. And it's always been something, that, these years that we've been doing it, man, it's just, it's been a ride. It's been a blast. And I've had such a great time. I'm not going to stop streaming or anything like that. But as Dawson mentioned earlier, and also Phil, is that we've got a lot of stuff going on in our lives.
Yeah.
That, like I'm doing the comic, and that's the reason why I haven't done anything with my channel, and my channel's pretty much dead, and it kind of sucks. So I'm thinking I might have to make a new channel because the algorithm's like, fuck you. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
And so, because I definitely, this is not a drug or anything like that, but I definitely love the interaction and being able to talk to people of different walks and different points of view. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, it's all good, because you know what? I'm getting to hear something from a different perspective, and I can take that, I can internalize it, I can process it, and I can say, you know what? I agree with this, or I disagree with this, and here's why, and whatever. And the biggest thing for me is that I always try to be as nuanced as I can, and I like giving the positive, the negative, and the reasons why. And possibly in some situations, I like to tell you what could make something better, or what I would have done to resolve X, Y, and Z, or whatever. Because just simply saying, I like this media or I don't like this media is very shallow and doesn't really give you much to work with. And that's what I've always liked about, the conversations that we have, because even if we don't agree on something, at least somebody can say something that we can kind of like, just like today, Phil said something about RDJ and how it makes sense for Dr. Doom. And he said it in such a way where I was like, oh shit, that makes some sense. I like that. That's good. Maybe that's what they're thinking. We don't know, but maybe that's what it is. And if it is, then I'm down, and I think it's cool. But yeah, man, I just listen. None of us are going away, but just this format here, Wednesday nights, I'm still free. I might do something else, but for the foreseeable future, man, just follow us on all social media. Contact Andre, contact Dawson. He's drawn up a storm. Contact Phil, he's writing articles, and that's not on there. But it's not.
It's an old graphic.
It's outdated.
And check him out on Threads.
Multiverse of Color and Threads, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, if you like hearing our takes, if you like interacting with us, we're not going to stop interacting with you guys. It's just this particular format we're not going to do anymore. We're gonna and we might come back together and do something again. And if we do, then maybe we'll change it up. Maybe we'll spice it up. Maybe we'll do something different or whatever. Just to not be in the mundane. And I guess my final word would be, man, like what you like, don't like what you don't. Dude, everybody's fandom, everybody's opinion is valid in some form or another, man. Just enjoy the media for what it is, because that's all it is, man. It's nothing that's going to end the world. This is stuff that we just like. This is just goofball shit that doesn't matter, but it entertains us, so we like talking about it because it's fun.
Yeah. And can I say one more thing before we close?
Damn it,
Is that sorry, something came to my mind as you were talking.
No, you can't. Go ahead.
Dwayne, make
You know
sure
what?
you follow me on YouTube.
And
all of us on
guys,
YouTube. We're all on YouTube.
Yeah,
We're all on
all the
YouTube. Follow
guys-
all of us.
all the guys who are saying,
Hit me up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Droga here with a super chat. One last one says you guys have made
$55. No.
years. Hey,
That's not
appreciate you,
true.
man.
That's
Thank you
not
so much.
true, Droga.
You know what?
That.
You know, let's give you an explosion.
Follow
But
Hey,
great artist.
say,
Droga become a young little Robin into a full-fledged Nightwing. That is. I'm glad we can make you feel great over these last few years, man.
Absolutely.
That is, you know, if anything, despite any time any of us have ever disagreed with anyone, and that doesn't just include the four of us, that means collectively in our collective circles. Let's be real, we all came together from the likes of BVS and Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's really the thing that pulled us all together. We are a collective unit in that sense, and we all try our best to prop each other up and support each other the best we can. RJ, this is the last 4Nerds show. That's what you missed.
yeah, and he's not kidding. But I was
I'm
going to
not.
say that I thought about something while Ryan was giving his last thoughts. Is that, you know, when I first started this channel, again back in late 2018, early 2019, I can't remember exactly when it actually happened, but I've always been someone who's drawn to creativity. I've always loved being creative, whether it be drawing or sculpting with clay or creating things digitally. And you know, when I first started the channel, the channel kind of filled that purpose, of being creative. And I wasn't really drawing or taking drawing that seriously. And then, as I continue talking more and more about the comics that I love, the movies that I love and everything, I rediscovered my love for drawing. And so I credit, this show and this YouTube channel for helped me to rediscover that and help me realize that's what I wanted to pursue. And that's a big part of my life now. And, Ryan mentioned I'm drawing up a storm. I'm drawing a book right now.
It was a pun.
Comic-Cons all the time.
And to take that a step further, Dawson and I have been talking behind the scenes. We want to try and get Dawson a table at New York Comic Con at some point, be it this year or next. And
Nice.
I'll be damned. It'll happen, hell or high water. I will make damn sure our friend gets a fucking table there because he deserves his art to be shown. And I'm sure Ryan's going to get his comic out as soon as he can, given his busy ass schedule, but he will sometime. But these guys put in the fucking work. I mean, look at Project Justice League. That was a fucking accomplishment in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
That debuted here on this very channel, like that is definitely also, I think, a highlight of this channel was people in wake of Warner Brothers' asinine decision to be like, no, we're not continuing this 3 days after they dropped the movie. What do these two chuckleheads decide to do? They decide to take it upon themselves and fucking bring those storyboards in animatic form and bring in people all across this fandom together to make that shit come to life. That's a fucking accomplishment. And they raised a lot of money for AFSPA doing that. So hats off.
Credit goes to Andre and Ryan, absolutely, for
100%.
And Anthony was a voice, and you were a voice, and we tried to get Phil. We did try to get Phil to be in it.
It's true. It's true. I politely declined.
He's like, I'm not being a part of that shit. No.
And the episodes, nothing's being deleted. The channel's not being deleted.
No. Everything is still available.
Oh God, I forgot.
I'll be posting small drawing shorts here and there. So the channel's not going to be completely devoid of anything. I'll still post small little drawing things here and there, just because they're easy to edit and everything. But RJ says there's not going to be a 4Nerds episode reviewing Creature Commandos or Superman. What the fuck?
No,
well, we're trying to get out of there before the storm hits.
No.
No. We'll probably do individual reviews on our channels, I'm sure.
Sure.
I'm going to try and stream on my channel more often, at least once or twice every other week or something.
I'll be, again, it kind of goes back to a big reason why I'm having to step away on my own because, moving to a new space. I'm just so busy with Comic-Cons. I have 6 more Comic-Cons before the end of this year. Which, again, and probably adding a couple more, if we're being quite honest. But again, I'll just wrap this up by saying that love you guys, all those who have been on the panel, on the 4Nerds, the guys are here in the chat and everything, all those who have been guests. Again, you've created a lot of great memories or helped create a lot of great memories for me and all these different people that have been on here that I consider to be my friends, including all 3 of you guys. Again, at different points, you know, I've relied on maybe a specific one of you at different points, right, for different situations, and you guys have been there. You know, you've been there to be a support and a friend and a kind voice, and even sometimes a correcting voice when I've needed it, because I've definitely needed it. And yeah, no, it's a sad farewell.
We've literally watched you grow from a boy to a man, and you know, and I want to be the guy to say, you know what, I raised him, and I raised him right.
Yeah, no. Let's cut this off. That's not. No.
This is when we need the bad take Ryan drop. This is when we need that.
No, we destroyed that, but
We did.
Anyway, man, love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us every damn week. Leave us a comment if you like the show. We'd like to see, you know, hey, you know what? Did people actually give a shit? We know the guys in the chat, but we'd definitely love to hear from you guys in the chat that maybe, or in the comment section, that maybe don't see us live. Maybe you're not awake when we're doing it. So, you know, if you did like the show over the years at any point in your, you know, in your life, man, just let us know. We'd love to hear it. And I'm sure the,
okay. One last thing. Pull that comment back up, Ryan. I don't mean to cut you off. This is not sadder than the Titanic. The Titanic is fucking boring. Okay, that is one of the most boring.
Died in that story.
James Cameron made the most boring $1 billion movie that wasn't titled Avatar. Okay, that movie is fucking boring. Okay, Brian, continue.
All right.
Disagree,
So
Phil,
yeah, me
but
and
okay.
Dawson, we should start playing the guitar as we sync.
Kumbaya.
Can we just sing Madonna Like a Prayer? Can we just do that?
There you go. Or
right.
Dawson, we can sing Like a Virgin.
You gotta do that one more time.
I had to do it.
Nice.
Oh no, here we go.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Okay. So
Wait,
wanna put-
wait. There's more. Oh, there's more.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
This is for you, Dawson.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
no cap.
Dodson, we've got Dodson here. See, nobody cares.
That's high praise.
John Cena! Yeah! Yeah!
Okay, we can't end the show without this one more time.
I don't want your money. I want Aquaman.
That's
Dumb, you're dumb.
Oh,
Wait, a classic.
The actor?
Anthony.
And this is one I still use on my show.
Why did you say that name?
That's a popular one.
I like Dawson's. What the fuck is this?
What the fuck is this?
Yes.
I've always been a
Always.
fan.
That's
And you know
always
what?
reminds me of
And you know
Dawson.
what? This is a newer clip that I uploaded, but I never used.
Bitch.
No! It's just dumb. That's what she said.
Okay.
You guys.
I'm not clicking anything.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, it's these guys.
You got one
I
more.
wasn't clicking.
I got
One more,
actually no,
one
I got
more.
two more. I got two more.
No, you gotta tickle their balls a little bit.
And then
Shame on you! Go f yourself!
And then we can't end everything without these last two right here. Here's number one. And then, of course, this one. Fake kids.
Oh my god.
Mannequin
the
arms.
height of the DCEU.
Me watching those scenes on this show. That's me every time those fucking clips are played because it's like, oh, I have to relive this scene again.
wait, hold on.
And
hold
again.
On. Hold on. I gotta play this one though. In honor of our friend Anthony.
I want it fire.
Correct.
That one's for Anthony. Most certainly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
But anyway,
So, great man.
Oh, son of a gun. You thought I was going to say son of a bitch, didn't you?
That's how Dawson always got over, like, you know, cussing on air. He was just like, I'll just play this drop.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But with that, once again, guys, we appreciate you all for viewing for the past.
From Amish country to you, we thank you for letting you into our living rooms every week.
That was weird.
That was the next time you see Dawson, he'll be coming to you live from Kansas, the same home as Superman.
Either that, or hopefully in a comic book that you buy at a comic book shop.
There we
Who
go.
knows? Either way,
New York Comic Con.
Yes.
Vine Lauro.
No.
All right.
Savage.
Savage.
See you guys.